Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey, you guys. Happy Sunday. Get this screen ready. How are y'all doing? Oh, hold on. I want to get this up and ready to go. No, that's the one we did yesterday. Here's Brat's. They wanted to believe it because we didn't have any information. We didn't have anything. And people like certain creators and certain people with mental illnesses will feed on that. And that's what happened here. That's why I said you guys can make up your mind yourself. Who manipulated who was the one who really was the most responsible? They're both responsible for being losers. They're both responsible for doing things they shouldn't have done. But at the end of the day, hear her story, hear the other girl's story, and then you guys can decide the way that you want to decide that this actually happened, because neither one of them is telling the whole truth. Neither one of them are going to tell the entire truth. And no one who's claiming to want to tell either side of the story is going to know the entire truth either. That's why you have to listen to what they're claiming and come up with your own opinion based on the facts, not what's being pushed out here all of a sudden because people are bored and ignorant. But the simple fact is that this story, regardless of it leaning on it having something to do with Dylan and there being more questions here and proof that Bryan had nothing to do with it, okay? Regardless of that being what the theme of this was, if it's false information, then who gives a shit? It means nothing. So for people to still come out here and push this, knowing there's already so much mud and no clarity, and there's still no time that Ethan and Xana actually got home, and there's still no actual proof of anything visually when it comes to the house, because every time you ask MPD for anything in a FOIA, you get told, oh, it doesn't exist, or, oh, you must be asking about this. No, I'm not. I know exactly what I'm asking for because I'm basing it on your own report from your lead investigator. Gaslight me all you want to. I know it's there. I know it's there. So when we already have real factual problems and then idiots come out and do this kind of stuff after it's already been 2 years since the original idiots did this kind of stuff, yeah, we're going to come out and we're going to try to clean this up as much as possible. I don't really care whose feelings it hurts. If you didn't want this rehashed again later, you probably shouldn't have come out here and started this shit to begin with. If you don't like the fact it's being talked about again, then this is a consequence of your actions with it coming back. And you can't blame anybody for that but yourself. And the two that I'm talking about and two know exactly and feel how much that shoe fits. These are their words. These are their words. These are their confessions to the bullshit that they started, the lie of a story that they started spreading. This is their own words, their confessions. So you make the choice. What do you think?
You have got into the territory back then of Dot. I think that's the first time I even heard about your name around was with the Dot scenario. The whole Dot scenario blew up, and when it came on my radar, I went to exposing Dot, and that's when I found your name. And then we heard about your name again during the most recent Paramount Cyber Sleuths episodes. You were in that series, and then again with the infamous alleged leak of messages between yourself and Steve Goncalves. You are introduced or stumbled upon Dot. So can you really take us from there of how you and Dot even got introduced?
So I do.
Now, let's preface by what we heard yesterday, because like I said, we only have their stories. We only have what they're telling us. So Dot is claiming that her and Brat were in 4chan or on a 4chan page that was talking about the case. And somehow they ended up all talking together because there was somebody else on that page that they never vetted, that they never found out who they really, really were. They just took this person's story and went with it. And that Brat was trying to help this person get their story out. And so Braden, as Dot's real name is, decided to play hero to the damsel in distress and say that this story actually happened to them. But none of that's real. I highly doubt that there's even a person from Reddit. It's something that's completely made up. So when it comes to how these two actually did connect to each other, again, they have two different stories. But But honestly, who knows what's the truth? Because Brat's going to admit to using this person, this Dot person with this fake story to try to push another narrative when it comes to Enon Harsh by allowing this person access to another TikTok account that Brat owns in order to have them come in as some sort of other person and push Brat's narrative for the night. She admits to all of this. That's why I say you can make up your own mind about who manipulated who and who was really the one orchestrating everything and who really was the vulnerable one here. But all you're going to hear from both of them is, woe is me, I'm the victim, instead of any real accountability regardless. Just watch how Brat constantly will go back to self-preservation instead of actual responsibility when she's confronted with certain things. Listen to her answers.
To note that I was talking to Steve, or we had communicated in June. I had never planned to even ever say his name or anything like that. So just know that we're in June of last year. Last April, made my first video. May, June, went and figured it all out. And they were like, okay, cool, we believe you. Whatever. So, I mean, there's only so many things you can fake. And I just, like, first of all, I would never fake something like this. Second of all, really, with how embarrassing this is for me and what I've said to him, I was all wrapped up into Dot and whatever. Why would I ever fake something like me? This is just ridiculous. It actually disgusts me, to be honest, that anyone would say I faked it, but it is what it is.
And they got mad at me on Brat Norton's live last night and yelled at me because how dare I question them?
It is disgusting to me. It is literally disgusting to me that somebody like you,
ladies and gentlemen.
Notice they both use the same words. It's just so disgusting that you would question me. So disgusting. Okay.
Meet Braden, a longtime troll of various creators across TikTok who spews lies.
That was where I first saw that you shared them.
Kind of after the fact, when everyone thought that like I was lying, and they believed me regardless of having any receipts. And I asked them to sign NDAs, and I was like, I'll send them to you, because I wanted them to see what he was saying, because there's so much in these messages that I feel like I had missed, but I was so wrapped up in Dot stuff that, like, I swear sometimes when I read these messages, even now, it's like I'm reading them for the first time. Like, I was not in the right mindset at all. And then the other two were for receipt purposes for Paramount. They also signed NDA, so they were people in the Paramount show or in Cyber Sleuths.
So you said that, so like 5 people you're saying?
Yeah.
About 5 people?
Yep, that's it.
The whole thing with Blum came out and you allegedly giving him messages. Did that ever happen? Like giving him these messages, did that ever happen?
No, no. I spoke with him about what the grand jury and what Dylan had said, but I did not sell any messages. I did not give him all these messages. That never occurred.
How long were you talking to Steve before Dot came into the picture?
Not that long. Steve and I had just shared with the Mad Greek.
Okay, she's not going to get into complete, well, maybe she does, but the story behind how she started talking to Steve Goncalves, she didn't reach out to Steve initially, according to her story. Someone else, because Brat was going like really deep into like the Mad Greek stuff, trying to find something there, which is also around the same time that Rory and Tommy Jude faked that drug kingpin phone call that freaked everybody the hell out. Remember that? Yeah, same time frame. Okay, same group. Because notice Rory was in on this bullshit too. Same group of just ridiculous stuff. She is going to say that somebody contacted her and said, hey, Steve is looking for information on the Mad Greek. I noticed that you've been deep diving into the Mad Greek. Maybe you should link up with him and help him with some of this information. Steve was curious about the Mad Greek all of a sudden because something came out in the grand jury that got him on that subject. Because all of this started after the grand jury, which is something to really take into consideration, given the things that he says to her about how even the grand jury people were not believing Dylan's story whatsoever. He says this to Brat. The grand jury did not believe Dylan. We're definitely going to be going back over those messages real soon.
Stuff. Well, I take that back because I got the footage. I got the footage July 9th because that's when I leaked footage on July 9th. And Dot came around July, I think it was the night of the 10th, but past midnight, it was technically July 11th. And this was right after I leaked footage. You know, I remind you. And I think,
okay, what footage for anybody who may not be aware?
Okay, so July 9th, I leaked pretty much all of it except for the 1112 screen grab. I never posted that. I did share that in Rory's live later on, but I never posted that.
And what's the one that we have now that we're questioning things about? the 156 screen grab, because what did MPD tell me? That the time for the 1112 camera starts at 2:25 in the morning and ends at 12:05 same day. So not even a full freaking 12 hours, meaning that 156 that the girls apparently got dropped off is not going to be on the camera. It's going to start after Dylan would have already messaged Eric Gower. He'd already responded and she stopped responding to him. That's when the camera starts. So when she's sitting here saying all of this, this goes all the way back to the Goncalveses having camera footage that apparently goes before 2:25 a.m. and them not being honest about it or not giving the information out to the public like they should, because this is camera footage that could answer a lot of questions. And they're not saying anything. They're just alluding to the fact that they have it by Steve sending her a screenshot of the 156 time frame. This is where Steve says, the Linda Lane audio doesn't sound accurate. There's something wrong with it. We have footage from closer. The proof was the 156 screenshot. And that's how he tried to discredit Linda Lane, at least the audio in Linda Lane. That's again where this was all of that same time frame. There was so much chaos going on at the exact same time. Oh my God, so much.
I leaked the 3 kids walking in. I just had a screen grab of it. As all you guys have seen the messages.
Yeah, where you thought they were wearing masks, I cracked.
Well, whatever post you saw earlier is not true, because I have the emails from Moscow Police Department's FOIA officer herself, and I've verified several times.
Up at you. I think you were crazy.
It literally looked like a white mask. Listen, okay. I wasn't
the screen mask.
I wasn't paranoid then yet. Okay. It doesn't count. No, but really, truly, I couldn't tell because his neck looks tan and it looks like he's like, I didn't know if they came back from like a party, like a theme party, right? This was like right after Halloween. I'm serious.
Dude, those are one of the things that
butt.
for me, I was like, I was mad when I saw that, because in my mind, I'm like, this just looks like a distorted kid's face that's like on like a still grainy grab. And so I'm like, you're saying to Steve, I think people are wearing masks, and I asked you about it privately, and this was your exact reaction, was it looks like that. And so I just don't agree. I don't agree. But
it looks like he's wearing a white, the saw mask with the red thing.
Yeah.
I'm
Jigsaw.
so sorry.
Wait, what's his name?
Jigsaw. We pulled it up.
We pulled it up because I thought you were crazy.
Her own freaking face is on the screen. What the frick you mean this isn't fair? Her own mouth, her own face, her own words are on the screen. She can be in here if she wants to. It's not going to change the fact that this shit was already said. What is not fair? I swear, you people that come in here like taking up for these people that come in here and lie and put shit behind paywalls and manipulate you, the gaslighting that you guys allow in your lives in the real life outside the internet must be disgusting. There, I used the word. Come on. She's right the frick here. No, that's Shay Benet. Brat's this one.
Honestly, I was like,
right here.
What? It's just because of the.
I don't need to have a conversation with her. I asked her about the 10:30 phone call that she apparently was told that Steve got, and because she put her phone number in an email, she thinks that I'm obligated to use it. No, I keep to email. I don't want to talk to you on the phone. I want you to answer the questions in black and white so that everyone can know this was the answer and there's no misconstrued ass bullshit. I don't need to have a conversation with somebody like this. That opportunity came and went. That's done and over with. We are going over her own words. This isn't me coming out and running my mouth based off of something that I heard and not having her own voice here in order for you to hear her own words. I swear the snowflakes. Y'all need to grow up.
White face. The face looks so much whiter than his neck, and it just like looked like because it was all blurry and stuff. Okay, listen. Anyway, that's what I said. My bad. I'm sorry. I still literally look at it and see the jigsaw face, but whatever. Okay.
This is what she's talking about. So this was a picture that Steve Goncalves sent to her. This is a screenshot from the Linda Lane camera. There's no mask on this kid's face. There is no mask on these faces. It just looks like a crappy still shot. So she is sitting there getting this picture from Steve Goncalves and instantly going to him and being like, oh my God, I see a mask, and like freaking him out and making this all kinds of dramatic and just exaggerated for what? And she's claiming this is before she went crazy. This was before all the dot stuff made her insane. Come on now. No. Dumb.
I posted that, and
I don't need to sit here and be a parrot. If I have to explain when we're discussing this bullshit that she started one more time, then I don't know what else to tell you.
Guy walking with the garbage can, the dumpster.
Another one Steve sent her.
And I asked him, I was like, hey, is this public? Is this public information?
Which is honestly like really stupid because she left a comment on the first video that I posted and I responded back. So it's not like she couldn't say something if she wanted to, but I don't really care, nor do I need her to come in here and talk to me. These are her own words. Again, this isn't me like going over what somebody else said about somebody else and somebody else heard this. No, her own face, her own voice on a live at her own free will. Jesus Christ, people.
And he was like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, can I post on TT? He's like, what's TT? And I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'm Brat Norton on there. Like,
well, see, in that part, I don't even really understand why she's sitting here acting like Steve didn't know that she was on TikTok, because the entire reason why they went for talking to Chronicles of Olivia is because Kaylee followed her on TikTok. So I never really quite understood like why she acted like that, because it's pretty obvious they knew what the frick TikTok was.
I told him point blank.
So did Steve ever follow your page, or was he
not understanding that a bunch of dumbasses are thinking the shit's still real and we're out here debunking the dumbassery? Say you're stupid for not basically having like comprehension skills at a level that actually helps you be around normal people. I'm not going to keep repeating it. I'm literally just not. Y'all can stay in here and be dumbasses. And if I ban you, then I ban you. But you know what? I can't help your little lost brain cells. That's what happens whenever you go and you listen to people like Brat Norton. You start eventually losing your mind. It's pretty obvious.
He kind of communicating with you to the point where he wasn't really aware of what you were posting?
Well, listen, I have thought about that since. I always thought, no way is he on here watching all this stuff, because he even says further on, he goes, oh, we can't have TikTok on government phones. And he said he didn't know who I was or what I posted. And I even kind of was like, ooh, like I'm conspiracy. Like, oh God, I thought you saw my stuff, you know?
See, for Steve to tell her, oh, we can't have TikTok on government phones, you've got a whole house full of teenage girls and you work for a hospital. So that's weird as shit to even say. Your your wife is not technically a government employee. So to say again, oh, we can't have TikTok on a government phone, that's just like some weird ass shit that I think that Brad is just saying. Because how does that actually match up to anything in Steve Goncalves' life as we know it? It doesn't.
Excuse me. And he claims no. But thinking back, I'm like, well, how did you know about the Mad Greek stuff? Or did someone just tell you that? I don't know. I have no idea. Is my answer. I don't know. But so that was July 9th. It was like the night of the 10th, but it was like past midnight. So it was like technically the 11th. Someone had come into my lives. I know I've sent you all those screenshots. I don't know if you guys pull those up, but Dot came into my live.
Now remember this, okay? That's why I said you need to listen to all the facts and figure it out yourself afterwards. She's saying that Dot came into her live and started saying these things that got people's attention, okay? When she starts talking later on about how she gave Dot access to another TikTok that Brat had so that Brat could come into her live and start bringing up Enon as being the DoorDash driver because that's the topic that Brat wanted to talk about. It's the same exact concept. It's the exact same protocol. It's the exact same order of operations. You're going to come into my chat as an unknown name, somebody mysterious, say some cray-cray stuff and get the conversation going. It's the exact same MO, the exact same one. So people, again, that stay here and like protect her and defend her, this is only being talked about again because her bullshit is still out there and people are still thinking that this crap that they created is real when it's not. Blame her for the fact that we're having to go back over this. I'm the one out here trying to make sure that the facts stay the facts. I swear. This is why like so many people just like shut their mouths and like let people get like art on the subway instead of doing anything, because the second that you try to open your mouth and make sure that like stupidity doesn't reign, you get like yelled at. But you know what? We gonna keep on going
on TikTok and just very just casual things. It wasn't anything crazy. It
So
wasn't
she came into your TikTok live chat. And
yeah,
what kind of things was she saying?
very just casual stuff. Like I think there was like, it's about rugs, which I obviously personally was very vested in, like the rug side of things. Oh my gosh, that there was someone in the backyard, but that came like at the very end. It was there wasn't anything that was like, whoa. It was just regular old stuff that like everyone else was saying, like it's about rugs. And
see, and that's the same thing that we got from what Dot said, that the story that they came out with at first was just like, oh, I was smoking a cigarette on the balcony of the apartments. I saw somebody in the backyard. That's not a detrimental thing. That's not really even putting names out there. It being Dylan and Emma and Demetrius or whatever, that came after. It evolved. It evolved into that because that was a trending topic and that's what everybody wanted to talk about. So they put all those certain keywords into their story because that's what everyone was talking about at the time. If you are somebody who actually pays attention to your surroundings, this kind of stuff is not hard to catch.
Like, it was a party house, things like that. It wasn't anything like mind blowing, you know, which is, I think, why it was, I don't know. We all were just intrigued, I guess you could say.
Perfect.
There were rugs involved. I mean, it just wasn't that wild. And to be honest with you, like, we were all kind of just watching this one person and watching what they say, but I don't think anyone took it that seriously, like that night, until they kept coming back.
When they came in, it wasn't a crazy narrative. It was, but did she drop this night? Did she mention seeing anything or
I'm reading
having
right now.
any type of involvement?
What is so difficult for you to understand the reason why we're listening to both sides of this? So it's not fair that Brat's not in here, even though she's literally on the screen. But also, why are we bringing up the other side of the argument? But then y'all would complain, oh, we didn't hear Brat's side. You only played Dot's side. It's called getting all sides of the story. I don't understand why you think this is dragging whenever this is something that she did herself that is still to this day, 2 years later, causing chaos. Still, to this day, causing chaos. As of this week, as of right now, as of an hour ago. Like, what? I could never live like some of these people. I just really just couldn't. I swear.
We were on the end of the apartment near the house. Hold on, what does this one say? It says, my friend has her Instagram live from that night. She's afraid to come forward. So I had no involvement in like talking to Dot as far as like the initial point of contact. My friend Cindy reached out to Dot. They had spoken, and then I was like, oh my God, you're talking to Dot? Like, is it real? What's going on? And like, yo, I want in on this. Like, what's happening? Like, does this person know something? And so that's when
I want in on this. Mm-hmm. Interesting wordage.
I then started talking to Dot myself, or we actually three-wayed for like the first handful of conversation.
This was you and another friend? Sorry, I was.
Yes, this is me and 716 girl in ATL. But I'm sending you as my live that night, and Dot is the little globe with the dot. That's why I called them Dot.
The reason that we refer to them as Dot is because that's how you first referred to them, simply because they had no photo versus a single dot.
Yep. That is why I said, what do you want me to call you? And they were like, and they just, I don't know. I don't think they ever said anything. And I just said, can I call you Dot? Because their little username was a literal dot. That's why I said, okay, we're going to call you Dot. That's how that whole thing got started.
This is not YouTube. This is TikTok. And so what you're seeing is the comments scroll up from bottom to top. For anybody who's not familiar, Dot comes in, and which one is the dot?
Okay, so see, like right there you go, the dot, the literal dot with the globe. The literal dot. Yep, that's right there. With the globe, the Earth globe. See the other dot user. Yeah, that's them, the dot.
And they were like, nobody knew Bryan.
I mean, it's honestly hilarious because all these idiots like subscribed, popped my numbers up, and then want to come in here and complain while also adding to my ad revenue. It's so freaking stupidly dumb. Like, y'all must just like not know about like anything whatsoever. Oh, Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm not ugly. Try again.
never heard of him. We were all shocked, never seen him around. So immediately Dot is taking on the persona of somebody who was there. Those words stick out to me. We this, we that, as if they are part of this and they have experienced something. So then we have Dylan was bad into schmugs with her boyfriend. They were in trouble. So immediately right off the bat, and this is the issue that I have with this type of stuff. It's not that you can't speculate, but it's the people who come in, who put things out as fact, and everybody remembers the accusation. Nobody remembers the retraction.
Everyone remembers the bullshit ass story. Nobody remembers these morons coming out and admitting it was all fake. Come on.
Dot is coming in to your live chat in a way where she has information and immediately putting this narrative out about Dylan, which we all have questions with Dylan. Questions, but coming out and making people where we already have questions, and then again we're starving for some answers, and it's somebody coming over with like a big juicy turkey leg and it's like wiggling it in your face. Of course people are going to want to take a bite, in my opinion, because they're desperate for that.
This is just my personal opinion.
Thanks for the 5, Jess. I'm late when the live basically starts with "let me get you some Q-tips." I know I'm gonna love the rest. I just don't do well with people who don't make sure people take accountability. I think it's disgusting. Just having fun. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are doing our members only live for the month tomorrow, just so you guys know.
Yeah, but I think that Dot was definitely sent to me. I think Dot may have tried to give their story to other people because I was told.
I'm spreading lies by letting Brat open her own face. You have some serious like issues. Yeah, except it's not. It's only I'm not right whenever it's somebody that you idolize, right? I'm so factual until I'm calling somebody out that you idolize. It was the same shit whenever I called out Christina Randall for being a liar that only pays attention to the mainstream media headlines. It's the same thing whenever I called out Annie Elise and Zav Girl for putting naked pictures of a dead child behind a paywall. I don't really care. I'm going to keep doing what I do. And that's just how it is.
That this story was the same as someone else's niece's story, and that they gave it to a handful of other creators. And I personally, that's kind of what I've always been after, is who heard this story and said, "Oh, we don't believe you, haha, troll, but Brat will believe you." And then they came in with all of the commentary, which they knew that I believed. I mean, I do still question the.
No, see, she's sitting here trying to act like she was targeted for this. That somebody sent Dot to her chat to infiltrate her. Okay, so then you sent her to your own chat later to infiltrate the narrative? I just don't believe you. I don't believe you. Sorry, I just don't. Thank you for the $19.99. I'm going to pay Jules' rent. I swear, these people are so ridiculous. Like, I'm literally out here doing the exact same thing that Brat Norton's doing, but I'm the one who's like the one with the problem. I'm on social media talking about the case the same way that Brat is, but I'm the one that's doing the wrong thing because I'm pointing out the fact that Brat started something that 2 years later is still causing more issues in this case because it's a lie that people want to believe because we still to this day have no real actual answers. Like, I'm good, bro. This is why I said, no, y'all are going to hear it straight from their mouths. Straight from their mouths.
So you have a theory that is surrounding potential being involved in this quadruple homicide. So when Dot came in, at this point, you feel like Dot is coming into your chat and she's appeasing already a theory in your mind that you're working with. So it stood out to you.
And again, that exact same theme comes into play, and she's going to say this. Brat's going to say this herself. When she then gives Dot the other TikTok and tells her to come in and bring up Ian Harsh, because that's the narrative that Brat wants to push in her live that night. It's the exact same operation, the exact same structure. So I'm supposed to sit here and believe that somebody sent Dot over to Brat's channel to infiltrate the live, to say all these things, to get everyone looking at this certain subject. And, oh, it's something that I was interested in, so I felt targeted, just for her to then do the exact same thing later in her own chat using the exact same person. No, bro. Come on.
Looking back. And yeah, someone said I'm gullible. I would. Well,
Oh, thank you for the 5 memberships, Wicked, Wild, and Wise. Thank you. Congratulations to those who end up getting them.
I'll keep going. I'll get to it. The thing is that this person had a story that was like no other, and it didn't just include the Idaho 4. It got really deep. It got serious regarding trafficking and rugs, and we were on the phone with them until 5 a.m. every single night.
But you know why it's fine? Because I can block them and I still get the perks of having an added membership. They're just in here being stupid, and that's their problem. They're kind of dumb. Like, I don't understand how, like, me saying she's going to admit this out of her own face. How is that criticizing her? That's what's called a fact. I don't know if you got to look that up in the dictionary, but that's what's called a fact.
It got to the point where I was calling the FBI regardless of who the fuck they were, and I didn't care. I wanted them to get away from me. And character, I never said I vetted Dot. There were things that I asked Steve, okay, on the phone. We spoke twice, and I'm sorry there's no receipts of this, but there actually is. He says in the messages with Steve, he says, and we talked to the neighbor that morning, and she had a crazy story. What he's referring to is when Steve and I talked on the phone, I told him enough about Dot, unfortunately, okay? It is what it is. And I was like, listen, this person claims to have seen people in the backyard. Because that's all it was. It wasn't this story. It wasn't this like crazy, like lavish story. It was like that she was a neighbor and she saw people outside in the backyard at like 8 a.m. And
well, yeah, we'll get into that, you know.
Right. But Steve had told me that he got a phone call that morning at 10:30 a.m. Okay. And that somebody was screaming their head off about somebody hiding in the woods. That's what he told me.
Steve told you that he got a phone call at 10 a.m. on the 13th?
10:30, yes. 10:30 that morning before they knew anything, that someone was screaming their head off about someone in the woods.
Now, I've mentioned that part several times. I specifically asked her this, and she didn't respond. I wanted to know what this was, if this was factual, if this was truth, or if this was something that she was making up, because you see how she's trying to use, oh, Steve told me they got a call from some random unknown number from someone they didn't know, yelling and screaming about somebody being in the woods behind the house. I don't have any proof that that was said, but I'm going to now use that as a receipt that I should believe Dot. That's what she just said. Go back. Click the link. Listen to yourself without me running my mouth. That's what she just said. She just said an unproven fact that was said to me on the phone is what I'm going to use as proof for the reasoning why I should believe this other story. Now, don't you think that if somebody called Steve and them at like 10:30 in the freaking morning from an unknown number, yelling and screaming about somebody being in the woods behind the house, that at least by now we'd have some sort of record in that from the MPD documents or something? I've questioned this story because we also heard that Sabrina, Christy's niece, is the one that called them to tell them that there was some sort of shooting situation that took place. That wasn't true. At least not that we know of. I know a lot of people have theories. I'm not one of those people, but that was the very first thing that came out, was their own blood called them and said something happened. So if they really did get a call at 10:30, I wanted to know if that was true or not. But she has no proof of this, and she's using it, again, something with no receipts, as the reason why, oh, I should just believe this person. I just don't believe the story's true, period. I just don't believe it at all. And again, she says it. This was on a phone call. So you're not going to see in the messages that we have all the screenshots for that being said to her from Steve. It's just something we're supposed to trust me, bro, about.
Back in the woods. So when Dot is telling me that there's people in the backyard, and then I'm talking to Steve about this shit, and he says that, I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? And when this person's saying that they have people that were standing in the backyard, it wasn't some like crazy freaking thing, because we knew that there were people there before police arrived. So to me, it wasn't like that crazy. It got crazier, and the story went on, and they added to the story, and then all this crazy stuff happened.
Yeah,
but
and we'll get into that.
It wasn't that like crazy at first. I mean, it wasn't so crazy.
No, we all didn't. I knew Dot was bullshit from the moment she came out. To me, it is beyond obvious that this is not legit. It is beyond obvious. But you want to know what's terrifying? People still believe Dot. And people are still giving Dot a platform.
And this was in 2024. Now here we are, less than 2 months shy of 2026, and we are having to go through this again and show the receipts for why this is bullshit, because we have these people that think that they know the case coming out here and saying all this crazy shit instead of actually looking at the facts. This was an exhausting few months trying to go through all of this bullshit and figure out what was right, what was wrong, who's lying, who's being honest, who's being manipulated, who just doesn't know anything and is going on and is just having people on the panel to talk because it's just something to do. There was a lot going through all of this for months and months and months and months and months. And now here we are again. So any of the idiots in the chat that need to know, oh, why are we talking about this again? Oh my God, why are you talking about because morons who don't know how to actually go out there and look up real true information are out here again, almost 2 years later, peddling this like it's fact. And that's disgusting.
People are still, despite Dot on this panel saying, I never had any involvement, are still saying, you know what, I think there's some truth to what Dot is saying. Kim and some other creators. No, initially, they came in they're saying that, you know, these comments at the beginning, it was not crazy. That's something that you definitely shared to me. In the beginning, it wasn't a big, crazy, deep rabbit hole that it eventually turned into. It was simple, right?
Well, and that I didn't necessarily believe it either. I mean,
keep that in mind. Here for it. Hey there, my name is Happy. Thank you for the $4.99. Welcome back, Miss You Girl. Welcome back. Welcome back.
People don't understand what all I went through and how I talked to Steve and Steve saying things like that. And then there was only like, look, Dot only occurred for like 4 weeks. Okay. And one of those weeks they were being outed. For the first 2 weeks, it was me and Cindy saying, we can't verify this person. We don't know who they are. They won't give us any of their information. And we didn't know what to do. But then it was like, we were all out of sleep. They would keep us up on the phone. It was this like, just this kind of basic story. And we're like,
now remember, that's the same thing that Dot says. So they are both accusing each other of not only threatening each other with certain things when it comes to privacy and kids and all that stuff, but they're also blaming each other for keeping each other up on the phone all night, because that's the exact same stuff Dot was saying in last night's live. She'd keep me up all night, message after message after message, telling me what she wanted me to say, what she wanted me to do. Same story. And honestly, they were probably doing it to each other.
We don't know how to help you. Like, go to Ann Taylor. So then they sent us back an email because I was like done with them. Like, I was like, I'm not your person. Like, go to the LE, go to the FBI. Like, we were trying to get them to like tell their story to somebody else. This wasn't like, ooh, we have this story and whatever. It was really when.
But then you used her as a tool later. You don't believe her, but you're telling Steve, and Melissa's going to bring up the messages. You're sitting here saying that you didn't believe her, you didn't believe it, but you're sitting here telling Steve, I 1000% believe her, while you're trying to play like you didn't believe her.
The story got really out of hand one night, and I called Kim, and we called the FBI on the phone. Yeah. Or she said she called the FBI on the phone.
Yeah, that's jumping.
And I called my cop, and they called the FBI, and I called the FBI the entire next day, and I told Dot this. Like, this was all occurring. They knew this was occurring. And they were like, oh, what are they going to do to me? What are they going to do to me? I'm like, it's going to be okay. That is, after that, that's when I really believed on. Because I'm like, who the hell would sit on the phone with the freaking FBI? I'm calling my own police.
Now, let's also keep in mind that she doesn't actually know if Kim really called the feds. She doesn't actually know if the FBI was called or not. I don't even personally know if this situation really took place, because I've never heard Kim talk about this. I've just heard this story from Brat whenever this live went on in real life. I was in the chat. So I heard that's the first time that I'd heard that story. But she's also going to admit later on that she didn't actually know. She never heard them on the phone. That Kim puts her on hold and leaves her with Dot for over 20-something minutes, and she doesn't really know anything that's going on. Now, I haven't seen if there was anything actually submitted by Brat to the FBI. Melissa says that she has seen it. I believe Melissa. I've trusted Melissa when it comes to facts and receipts and making sure that people are accurate for a long time now. She says she saw the federal submissions. She's going to say that here. I believe that. That's fine. But when it comes to this situation here, this three-way phone call with the feds, she's not the one who apparently called. Apparently Kim was. So there's no proof of that. And she's going to admit, I actually know I never heard anything. So we can't even verify that this story that she's using here as why all of a sudden she started to believe Dot is true. We have no proof of it.
Department just to get a record of it. If you guys don't believe me, you guys know where I live. Go pull the records. Okay. There's back-to-back videos and you lose my mind with the cop standing in front of me. I mean, I look disgusting, horrible. My face is breaking out. I haven't slept. My parents came over the next day. Okay. Like it was a whole thing. This person didn't just talk about the Idaho 4. They got into trafficking, children shit. It went crazy.
Now, remember what I said yesterday? That Bebop and Bebe stuff that Dot was talking about in her live had to do with that situation. A child being taken and some sort of maybe possible trafficking thing. There was a whole lore behind that channel. That's why I said when Brat mentions this in her interview, I almost feel like she's taking that situation and whatever that community trolling situation was, and she's trying to turn it into something else. Now, I don't know if there was other things like this. I'm not privy to that information. I don't know. And if she is claiming that there was, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a lie. I don't know. There might have been a lot of threats and a lot of stupidity in this situation because the situation itself was just freaking stupid. Okay. But I still kind of feel like whenever you're trying to bring this up as something that you're listening to over the phone and all these other things, and then we hear about the Bebop and Bebe thing and how that's been described, and you also need to remember this interview with Brat is after Dot's already come out on Melissa's. Dot came out on February 29th of 2024. This is a month later. So at this point, Brat has had a month to go and listen to everything that Dot had to say and figure out a way to counteract things specifically. So I'm just saying to keep that part in mind too.
Like a couple nights and I didn't know what to do. And at that point, I mean, when we're like, I'm calling the FBI and they're like, okay, what are they got with a three-way with the FBI? I mean, that's when I was like, well, who the hell would do that?
Right. Okay. So but let's pull back. Let's pull back though. Let's pull back for timeline format. And I appreciate everything you're saying and I want to hear it all.
Yeah.
But at this point, they come in, they're saying they all helped each other.
A lot of random shit.
This isn't me, MJ, but they did not know that Brent guy. So he's speaking for what I'm assuming is the victims and Dylan and Bethany, correct?
We didn't really know. We were just watching them post all these comments. We're just like, oh, what next? What next? Like we didn't really know what they were talking about, to be honest, because they were all really random. This is how it went. I mean, they were all just really random, but some of the stuff you'll recognize, like it's stuff like with the Brent and BK doing, what together in the car.
Now, see, that's also really interesting that this is part of the story they tell, because that part came out on some other forum like way before this, not long after Bryan was arrested. And there was like a word that slipped in it to where a lot of people thought that it was one of his family members or maybe one of his sisters that wrote it. But I don't think it was about Brent Kohberger specifically. It was something about, was it a security guard? I can't remember the specifics, but the details of what she just said was that Bryan Kohberger knew this guy and that they were doing something that involved cutting things up, substance-wise, and that it was this knife that was used, and that's why the DNA was transferred. That's like the story that came out. But they take this, something that came out months and months ago from some random person months and months ago on another platform, another forum, and then brought it also into this story. It's literally like they went in and took little pieces of every little thing that they heard over the months and tried to incorporate it into their own story. And you also need to sit here and remember, Dot self-admits that they are a writer. So for them to go in and be able to pick different pieces and put it all together, especially on the fly like that, if you're a writer, you can do that. I'm just saying, if you have a really good imagination, it's probably not that difficult to do all of that. It takes time. You have to go in and make sure that you're listening to everything and put it all together to what people are really believing. It's probably an entire science behind it if you want to be so serious. But you're going to hear lots of little bits and pieces of things that you've heard from like just a bunch of random places, and it's going to suddenly come together.
Like that obviously got from an article, whatever.
They are saying he was friends with another guy from the apartment. So Dot at this point is talking as if they have all the information. Yes, he does. They all smoke together. Brent was obsessed with Bethany. He tried to date her, but she wasn't having it. At this point, he is referring to Brent Kopaka, a deceased veteran who, if you want to think that it was suspicious circumstances, that is totally fine. I don't personally believe that it had any, you're naked, Shay. I don't think it has any association to the quadruple homicide, but the issue is Dot is coming in and speaking as fact, not I heard, I believe, I'm speculating, posting this as if it is information that they know for certain, a big issue we see surrounding this case particularly. But really liked Bethany, meaning Brent. He hit on me before I always ignored him. Was this about Brent? So Brent hit, which this is, sorry, but this is the Kimbleweed effect, where all of a sudden, as time goes on, these people directly have involvement with every damn person in the case that gets brought up. So
my little orange cat's up. That's what I'm looking at. You're wondering what I'm looking at. Like, she's little and she can jump and climb, but my bed's kind of tall and she's really tiny and she just barely woke up and now she's on the edge and I'm just like watching her. What are you about to do?
Now, Brent, who really is not part of the case at all, has no association to the case. You could speculate, but has no actual association to the case. And now, not only is Dot, which you're going to hear, directly involved in witnessing something with the murders, but also Brent happened to hit on them too. Interesting how that works.
Yeah, see, and that's the other big issue, is that it went from something non-serious, non-dramatic, just being outside on a balcony at one of the apartments, smoking a cigarette and seeing somebody in the backyard at 8 o'clock in the morning, to now they're in the backyard, they're smoking a J with the people in the backyard, to now they're in the house. I think at one point they tried to say that they were the driver or some shit. Like, they gave themselves a very specific role. Just so much escalation and evolution just for nothing.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you. I mean, I know looking back, it seems so fake. Y'all, this is embarrassing. This is not like, oh, I'm trying to like clear my name. This is real life. This is what I went through. I was new. Like, looking back at some of the stuff, I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, now I know, but also too, these things were just flying and then fast forward, I didn't look back on every little one thing that they said. I was really just not in the right headspace. I don't know. I don't know if it's a tactic to keep someone up all night, every night, to lose sleep, to take all their time. I don't know if that's what they do, but man, it worked. I'm telling you, I just felt like I was losing my freaking mind.
They're saying Bethany.
You also need to go back to what she just said about she wasn't crazy just yet. When she's sitting there freaking out to Steve Goncalves about how the person in the Linda Lane screenshot's wearing some sort of mask. So to also sit there and be like, I don't know if it's a tactic that they use to keep you up at night. It just seems very scripted, like you really looked up what to say. I have so many thoughts.
He wasn't there that night. I know for a fact. So do you see how this word choice, all right? Yeah. I know for a fact Bethany wasn't there that night. You could have questions regarding Bethany and Dylan.
I mean, that's fine, but she's not new to being an adult human, and she's not new to being on social media. So that whole thing right there about being new to true crime, there's trolls in every community, especially the beauty world. Like, come on now. Like, I understand it's been a minute. She confessed to it. It doesn't matter to me, though. This needs to be rehashed because people think that this is still a real story. And maybe, just maybe, if people were just as diligent as I am when it comes to trying to find information and getting the truth as much as possible, we wouldn't have thousands of people right now believing that Dot's a real person that has something important to say all of a sudden over the past week. I'd much rather not be having to do this.
Have questions. Yeah. But these are real people, and the wrath of the internet is nasty. And all of these people who are listening to this stuff are they run with the shit that these people say.
Exactly.
And they do reach
Without
out to
thinking.
them. And they reach out in their real lives, and they reach out to their jobs, everything. But stating this as fact is what I've always taken the issue with. It's, because that's what I've noticed regarding the Idaho trolls, as I refer to them as, but not putting it out as, okay, this is what I heard, this is what I believe. It's Bethany wasn't there that night, I know for a fact. And this is what contributed to a lot of the conspiracies building up and misinformation being spread.
Mm-hmm.
So then you wrote, Bryan wasn't doing, well, not you, I'm sorry, Dot wrote, Bryan wasn't doing rugs with Brat that night in Bryan's car. Brat used Bryan's knife to cut smoke,
See, so in the original story, like y'all mentioned in the chat, it was a security guard guy, like a security guy in the area. And now the story was warped to the most trending topic, which was what? Brent Kopaka. Okay.
So again, commenting as if they have direct knowledge and information of what happened the night of the murders, okay? The night of the murders. My friend has her Instagram live that night, which I think we hear this being brought up in the messages between you and Steve, right? You referred to this. So I definitely want to hear about that. But she's afraid to come forward. This friend is afraid to come forward.
But again, at the time too, you have to understand, we didn't know any of the story. Like, there was no story yet. You know what I mean? So these are just random comments like this. You know what I'm saying? You have to it's really hard to go back in time and put yourself in the mindset, but it's like you have to try and pretend that you don't know any of what you know now, and just seeing these random comments. Of course, we're like, what? Who is this? What is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's fine. But once you did start doing it that way, if that's true, and this person wasn't sent to your live to do this, like you are going to admit that you like to do because you're bored and like to push your own narrative. I could never understand scripting my entire thing that way. That is so freaking insane to me. How can you sit there and be like, hey, I have an idea. I want to talk about something, but no one else really gives a shit. So I need somebody who's not me to come into my chat and start talking about this, because if I talk about it, it's just not going to get attention, basically. But if some random person starts coming in here and starts saying all the things, then it's going to get my narrative out there. I could never be somebody in Hollywood. I just never could, because that's how that shit goes on the daily basis. Ugh.
Okay. So now that we have the context of when Dot first entered your arena, how did you then start to speak to Dot in direct communication?
Cindy talked to her first. And I literally, she was like, hey, I talked to Dot for an hour last night. And X, Y, and Z, kind of the things that they were saying in this. Again, I don't know if there was even a story yet. And that Cindy wanted to keep talking to her. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I want in on this, who is this person? What do they know? I was curious. So we three-way called. Dot had Cindy's information, and then they three-wayed me, and we talked like that. And then I gave Dot my phone number, and they would call us on unknown or whatever, a blocked number. And then we just started talking on three-way for a little bit. And and Cindy will tell you, I was very hesitant. There were a lot of things that were red flags to me. There were 100%. There were absolutely.
What makes you feel like you looked the other way from the red flags?
Calling the FBI.
And that came later though, right? So
the FBI call that she didn't actually hear the FBI getting phoned. The FBI call that actually didn't happen. That's when she decided to trust Dot.
Well, 2 weeks later. Yeah. But for the first couple weeks, we didn't say anything about it. Everyone's like, where's Dot? How's Dot? Whatever with Dot. And we were just like, we don't know. We don't know their identity. Everyone likes to say, we verified her or whatever. That's not what I said. I said, I've tried to verify some things. Okay. But they sent us a botched friggin' Ann Taylor email, but then they sent us the car burning video, and that car burning video.
So first, when Dot came, What was the initial narrative like that she told you?
That they were a neighbor. They lived in those apartments next door, Queen Road apartments, and that they were outside, they were partying, and that the next morning they had gotten up and they walked outside to smoke a cigarette, and they peeked over the balcony or whatever and saw people in the backyard.
So
That
it
was the
wasn't
initial-
that extreme.
No, that was
simple.
it. It wasn't even Emma Bailey.
Now, remember what Dot said, and again, these are just their sides of the story. The truth is somewhere in the middle. Dot said that she never said anything about living there. She just said something about there being a party and smoking a cigarette on the balcony, and that anything having to do with being a friend of Dylan Mortensen's or anything like that wasn't there, that all came later. So keep that part in mind. Again, both sides. Y'all decide.
Demetrius for probably like another handful of freaking days. Of course.
And so hearing that, at that point, had Steve already told you about the 10 to 10:30 a.m. call?
No, I had not talked to Steve at all. So when I started talking to Steve is like mid to end July. That is after I tried calling the FBI. I did not bring Dot to Steve until after I called the FBI and nobody would freaking answer. And then I was like, bro, like, I don't know what to do. I have to tell you about this in case this is real. Like, on the rare opportunity that this shit is real, somebody has to take this and it can't be me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with this piece of information, right? If it's real, if it's not real, it's not mine to bet. Somebody needs to take this. And that is why I told him about it. I'm like, do you have an FBI guy? Please have them look into this person. I don't know. Here you go.
Initially, it didn't seem so crazy to you.
No.
There were a couple of red flags.
There were. The way that they were acting, we thought that they had a issue. We did. Cindy and I, it was very apparent. At night, they would be normal and they kind of go off this, they would, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know. A lot of people have seen it on TikTok. They're like normal for a second, then they, and we were like, crap, this person has a rug issue as well. And this,
or they're bipolar. Mental issues can also do the same thing.
This is not good, because we were like, ugh, because they would just go off on all these other things about their life. I mean, it wasn't like we just talked about this random story. It was like they would talk about their family and like their life and their degrees and all these other things.
That I believe, because she does that a lot when she's on panel. She constantly tries to talk about all the good that she has done and stuff that she's gone through, Dot, whenever she's confronted by certain things. I believe that part.
So when did it take a shift? So at this point, you're speaking to Dot privately. Dot is interacting with other creators. This is both now TikTok and YouTube. Like,
just Cindy. I mean, as far as we knew, just Cindy and I. I mean, I can't say who else they talked to because I don't know. But as far as we were concerned, just Cindy and I. I mean, again, I don't know. Cindy and I were kind of taking turns because this person would call us every night. If we didn't answer, they would be very mad at us. Like we betrayed them and all these things. And this person, let me rewind part of their story.
Now, remember that Dot said the exact same thing yesterday about Brat, that if she didn't answer her or get back to her, that she'd get mad at her. So again, you have to think they're saying the exact same things like towards each other. It's just lots of similarities.
It was that they, were deep into the rug world and that they had escaped all this and they had moved back home and that they were trying to get clean and like their personal shit. So we got this little story in Idaho, and then we have that they've moved away because we're like, well, do you still live there? Because I hounded them. I mean, I hounded them a couple times and they're like, no, I've left. I've since moved away, yada, yada, yada. So we're like, okay, they're no longer there. Like they can't prove anything with that. We're trying to figure out.
Yeah. So go tell that to the creators over the past week that have pushed the Dot narrative as being true. Sorry that you have like missed the actual facts here. Maybe come back down to earth.
Information that we could get to like verify them, and they just say.
So did you try to vet them? Like, what was that process?
Yes, but there were runarounds every time, and that's when I got red flags. And
so you said a botched email with Anne. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So I said you need to email Ann Taylor. I'm out. I'm like, I need to see proof, because they had said that they called Ann Taylor. they got a meeting with her and that they were going to talk to her. And I was like, perfect, good. My hands are clean. See you later. Bye. And they were like, wait, hold on. You know, it started to become apparent that they just wanted my time, Cindy's time, and her. That's when I started to be like, okay, like this is not normal. But again, I believed them and I didn't. Like everyone wants to say like,
it's not normal, but then you're going to give this person access to your TikTok so that they can come in and start the narrative about Enon Harsh. You've got all these red flags, but then you're going to use this exact same person as a tool for your own agenda. That doesn't really track for me.
believed everything. I didn't like fully believe them until after I called the FBI. I want to make that very freaking clear. I was very, and Cindy will tell you this, I was very wishy-washy. There were things that I was like, I don't know about this. And like, for example, I offered them money. They didn't take it.
Told you.
And I figured, okay, then maybe it's not a scam. You know, I'm thinking, why would this person do all this? Why would they make this up? And I guess being new to this side of the internet.
Attention. You wanted a hot topic. They came in with a hot topic. You used each other. And again, she's going to sit here and pretend like it matters that you're new to true crime. You're not new to being an adult human. You're not new to the internet, and you were not new to social media. You were not new to trolls. You were not new to the way that things worked out here. So that's just like a cop-out that I'm not going to allow in this situation. I just can't. It was so obvious to so many people that weren't even in the middle of it. People watching way on the outside, listening to this and being like, I'm sorry. And you get that close to it and you have all these issues, but then you still are running out and telling Kaylee's father all these things like they're factual, trying to pull him into this, trying to get him into this situation whenever he's already causing enough issues with the things that he's over there doing. Just too much, unnecessary.
Especially TikTok. I mean, I've been on Instagram and Facebook for years. Maybe it's the whole true crime thing. I don't know. But I have never in my life experienced people who just blatantly lie about being or seeing something with an actual quadruple homicide.
They do.
Well, I didn't know that. And truly. And I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I just don't believe that.
But also, eventually, I was like, you need to tell LE. You need to go to Ann Taylor. So basically, I was like, I'm not talking to you until you talk to Ann Taylor or go to LE or something, right? And so I didn't talk to him for a couple of days. And then they came back and they had sent me this like botched freaking screenshot of Ann Taylor's with their like blurred out email. And I'm like, I'm gonna need that unredacted. And
Ann Taylor's blurred out email?
Yeah, they sent me, I still have it somewhere. They sent me like a screenshot of like an email, like of them confirming like a time that they were meeting, and they like blurred out half of Ann Taylor's email, and I could tell it was fucking. I was like, yeah. I'm gonna do that unredacted, and that's when I was really, I was done. I was like, this shit, I'm done. This person's lying, and then they tried to attempt sewer slide. That's when they.
I remember that. I was like not really paying attention to the story for a couple of days, and then I get back into it, and all of a sudden it's like Dot died, and now she's back from the dead, and I'm like, what? I barely blinked. I remember this.
They're fake unaliving, and then Cindy had sent them money. I want to clarify something on PayPal, and I don't even know if it was PayPal. I've never seen it. Till this day, Cindy has never sent it to me. If they did, I probably would have been a little smart to like dig into that. But again, you guys, at this point, we were no sleep. This person was keeping us up all night with their personal shit. It wasn't.
That was very demanding. So it no longer was talking to her. As far as information coming in, it became a very codependent relationship where she is calling you throughout the night hours about things beyond this case, correct?
Yes, their own rug use.
Listen to this.
You don't have to get into specifics. Yeah.
Listen to what she about to say.
I sat on the phone. Well, what I thought they were going to do something for money, and I had to hear some very fucking inappropriate things on the phone. Okay.
I had to sit on the phone while I thought this person was going to do something for money, and I had to listen to things. So you're telling me that you sat on the phone while Dot went to go do something sexual for money and you listened to her doing shit on the phone? Because this is going to be reiterated. She's going to say it again. And that's exactly what she means. I'm sorry. You didn't have to stay on the phone and listen to somebody doing the nasty. You could have hung up. What the hell? And then to sit there and be like, oh my God, I had to listen to that. Nah. No, you didn't, bro. No, you didn't, bro.
Yeah. And yes, I've recorded all of this. And
so you've got it on recording, somebody having sex on the phone for money? You have a prostitution scheduled appointment recorded on a phone call? Girl, Florida wild.
And because I was losing my mind. Like I was like, someone get me the fuck out of this shit. Like, this is just not it. Regardless of whoever this person is, whatever information they have, like, I was done with it. And that's when Cindy sent them money for an Uber.
We did not need that information. You could have kept that one to yourself.
Or I think she got them an Uber. I don't know. I was not involved with that. I said I would never send them money. I offered once just to see what they would say, because I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is like a scam for money. Like, where's the angle to all of this stuff? Cindy had sent them, I guess, PayPal or CashApp. I don't know.
This is actually the receipt that, if you guys remember, I had Dot on panel, and Dot pushed a narrative that you had paid Dot to spread disinformation.
I paid Dot a single dime, and it was $7, I believe, from Cindy, which I later got in an email. But Riley asked me for that, and I didn't even have it. I still don't have it. I've never seen it.
I never showed it. I do have it, but let me be clear. I even gave Dot the opportunity to send receipts, trying to give everybody the opportunity to share their side. And the receipts that Dot did send were about 5 out of context screenshots, none of their own interactions, and one was a PayPal receipt. And I said, well, this isn't even from Brat. This is a different name. And they said, well, yeah, but this is like Brat's associate. And so I did clear that up when I did find out that there was one payment that was made. It was, I think, about $7 for like an Uber ride. Yeah. But as far as I know, because Cindy did come over into my comments, and she's like, I've tried to separate from this and move on, and I won't, so as far as I know, it was a lesson learned, and she's trying to have absolutely nothing to do with Dot, because unfortunately it's a sad realization to come to terms with, that people are willing to lie about something as severe as this. And
don't sit here and act like she had to stay on that phone. Don't sit here and try to have sympathy for somebody. Don't, girl. Nobody has to sit on the phone and listen to nobody having sex. And they definitely don't have to record the shit. I'm sorry. You must like have a thing for Epstein. You got crushes on people like that? What in the frick? Ooh.
You're relaying, it seems like it got very dark on those private phone calls with Dot.
I had to listen to somebody. I don't know if it's Dot, but I had to listen to somebody having...
Yeah, you don't even need to. It very inappropriate. So when did the narrative...
Look at her face. When she's exaggerating. Girl, and you recorded it. I'm supposed to feel bad for you? You recorded it, you nasty. I'm like actually really glad that we had to go back over this, because I did not like remember this portion in the live. Why the hell would you come out here and admit to that? And then say, and I recorded everything. Girl, it's your own words. Nobody's misunderstanding anything. It's your own words.
Switch.
From chat's asking a timeline of where we're at right now in the timeline.
We're probably mid-July.
Okay.
Mid-July.
Because this is when it all blew up. Because the last week of July was when they went on, like right before August 1st. I believe they were outed on August 1st to 2nd, or my live was on the 1st. Rory's live, I think, was on the 1st. I'm only doing this from memory, y'all. I'm sorry, I could go grab receipts. I believe that was like all on the 1st. I believe it was like the 30th to the 1st.
Look, I don't think she's gonna mention it again. I think that's it. I don't think it's gonna be said again.
First or the second, the 1st to the 2nd is when they went on my live and show their face. And it was a couple days before that. They had gone on a couple of lives on YouTube, I think with CJ
Rory,
and then Rory.
yeah, and we've gone over that, you guys, for anybody who's been here for this. We watched Dot go over to Rory's channel. I think, were you on that once? I remember there was one panel you were on. I'm not sure if that's the one that you were on.
I was
not
on
over to Evil CJ's.
Of those. No, Riley
It may have been like a Kim one. I'm not sure.
Oh, I've
You
been
was that other one.
but that
Forgot that one.
Okay.
So now there's people in the chat saying that it's because this person was claiming that they were being assaulted. Brat literally just said that she thought this person was going to go do the nasty for money. That was the mission, to go do something inappropriate for money. Y'all are wild. Like, the stuff that y'all keep coming up with is insane. Dot is not a dude. Dot is a transgender person that was born just like me and you, with the same parts. Dead name starts with an E. Very feminine. One you've probably known for quite a while.
Probably June or July, early July. Not we. So okay. So we're probably, God, and I could go find. I'm sorry about the date, y'all. We're probably in mid going towards end of July, because this is when it all blew up. And
when did you first introduce Dot to Steve? Was that before the narrative changed or after the narrative changed?
Well, what do you mean introduce? I never
when did you first, in your messaging with Steve, when did Dot first become a subject? Was it when her narrative was still, I was just a neighbor and I saw XYZ outside?
No. So I'm getting there. So we're probably mid-July. I'm like email Ann Taylor, because they said they had tried to speak with Ann Taylor, whatever, and I was like, I need a receipt of it. They sent me some botched receipt. Okay. I think the fire video came before or after that with their car burning, which, to be honest with you.
So what was the car burning narrative? Yeah, well, what did they say?
That the people that was following them or whatever, they're scared for their life, and they were like, they set their car on fire to send them a warning, which I know, you guys, I know it sounds ridiculous, but listening to the video and hearing Dot's voice in it and looking at their fucking car, I'm like, oh,
so
my
you feel
God.
like you're really caught up at this point, and hindsight, you can see it looks ridiculous, but at the time it felt very real for you.
But let's also remember that at the time that burning car video came out and we watched this video play on the live with Rory, we were being told that it belonged to a girl named Bridget, who is real and really a friend of Dylan's. That happened. That's the story that was being told from that. So we need to keep that in mind too.
Very, very real. And like I said, if no one believes me, I'm happy to pull the body cam footage.
It's your side, yeah. Well, and people are.
You will be able to tell I was losing my.
Honey, Braden is this person's name now that they want to pretend that they are a boy. They're a biological female with severe mental issues, if it's not already extremely obvious. The name of this person has already been in the chat. This is not a boy. This is a female. There is no now a boy. It's not, oh, this boy was pretending to be a girl. No, this is a female with issues that make them believe that they are a male, then sitting here in a true crime case and pretending to be who knows who, because they're not admitting to saying that they were either one. And the way that Brat comes out and tells the story, they all originally thought that this person was a male, but it's not. It's a female. And actually, if you look at her pictures and you look at Summer Wells' mom, Candace, they look extremely similar. They're not the same person. I'm not saying they're the same person. I'm not saying Candace is over here trolling people. At least I'm not saying Candace and her are the same person. I'm just saying that they look the same. So if you are in the Summer Wells case, but you have no clue what Dot might look like, which is actually a woman that goes by the name Braden, Candace.
I freaking mind. So it was like the car burning video. the Ann Taylor email. Sorry, I'm trying to do this from memory. That's when I was like, nah, this shit's, I need an unredacted version of that email. Like, you're not about to redact shit with me. And then that's when I was like, I'm freaking done. I'm out. And they got mad. And that's when they faked their unaliving. Okay.
And that's crazy right there. The second that somebody is going to come out here and fake their own death just to get your attention, why would you bother with them ever again after that? Why would anything continue after that? That is so sadistic.
And they were at a trap house or whatever. And that's when Cindy sent them money because they were like stuck and what.
See, this is the part that I'm not really quite sure of because I don't know the proof of any of this stuff. I just know the story that they were told. So Brat is going to say here that she believes it really is Dot's car. Dot also said in her interview that it was Dot's car. I think that they were just out here trying to say that it was Bridget's car because some of the people that were in the chat last night were saying, oh, well, because of the things that we were told, we thought that it could be Bridget. So then they went around pushing that it was Bridget for certain things, even though they just thought that it was Bridget. See why it's not just like Dot or Brat? It's Dot, Brat, and all of these other people that are constantly defending her and making excuses for why they did all this stuff. Forgetting all of all the rest of us were living it too and seeing it. We're not just hearing this all for the first time. We're doing this again because we lived it and we're tired of the bullshit and the lies and the trolls and the stupidity. So I don't know. They're both in both of their stories. They're both claiming that it's Dot's vehicle. So the only thing I can say is the Bridget thing came out for attention and views and to make their story sound good. And that's it.
Whatever. Or, sorry, they didn't fake their unaliving first. They were at a trap house and needed help. And somebody was messaging us from their TikTok account. And that's when I got freaked out because I'm like, yo, how are you on this TikTok account? Like, how do you know about Dot? And they're pretending to be somebody else. And I knew that. And I told Cindy, I said, no, they're fucking with us.
And you showed me those messages.
Yes. I'm like, they're fucking with us. And I was like, I'm pissed. And that's when I was like, I'm freaking out. I'm done. Like, they're faking this shit. They're full of shit. No, this is bullshit.
So her faking her own death, you're not done from there. You listening to her having some sort of schmexual something happening on the phone and you recording it, you're not done there. You're done when they do what you ask them to do in your own live, which is jump online and pretend to be somebody else. That's when you're done. Okay. Okay.
Shit. And she sent them money. I don't know. I think she just felt really bad. I don't know. This person obviously has an issue, whether it's mental, whether it's substance abuse. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But you guys, if anyone's ever seen,
you're gonna fall.
You know, if you know. I think she felt bad, so she sent them that. I never saw that. She had told me that she sent them an Uber ride. It was like $7 or something like that, and I was like, I don't know. And I was kind of out for a couple of days. And then that's when they faked their unaliving. And I was like, no, this person's effing with us. That is when it went in full freaking drive. And that is when I don't think I answered the phone for like a handful of days, to be honest with you. And I was done. Cindy and I just kind of were like, we're over this shit. And then that's when it went full overdrive. I answered the phone one night, and that's when this story got really deep, really bad.
Okay.
They were involved in the crime itself. They were
so Dot now all of a sudden evolved and said she was involved in the crime itself.
They were the driver. There's 3 of them that they actually did see the injuries themselves. I freaked out. Nobody was answering. Kim, I knew, had an FBI contact. I called Kim. I'm like, I'm 3-waying Kim. Kim was like, okay. And Kim was on the phone with me the whole time. And Kim heard it all. And we were
so you're on a 3-way call with Kim and Dot. Did Kim and Dot ever have any communication?
Now, I will say, I distinctly remember after Dot came out and all of this came to light that it was bullshit, that even Kim on a panel came out and tried to say that she still believed her. I can't remember whose panel it was. But I remember that being like, oh, of course that's what we're going to hear. Because you were also apparently in on this phone call. That apparently, again, Brat didn't hear happen.
And prior to you putting them in communication.
Not that I'm aware of.
That you're aware of. So it was this same night that, how did you put them in communication?
Basically, I was like, I'm calling Kim.
Okay.
Yeah, Kim knew at this point, because I was freaking the hell out. You've seen the screen recording. I thought I was recording. I don't know why. I'm an idiot. And I was like screen recording, thinking it was like recording the sound. Even though all my
iPhone won't record a call.
I know, but
when
all
you're
my
screen recording.
recordings are on my freaking computer. I don't know why I didn't just grab my computer, but I was like screen recording for whatever freaking reason. I'm an idiot, and I was all worked up. And I'm like, I'm getting Kim on the phone so you can see I'm freaking out. I'm texting Luna. I'm Alyssa. I'm texting Rory, and I'm freaking out.
And she showed me this, you guys. So again, you know, like if we're going very fast, at this point, she is on a 3-way call between Dot and Kim. I've seen it. I've seen that they're actively on a call.
I thought you were going to hear it. I'm an idiot. Literally.
It's, you know, it's okay. You know, like, and she's navigating through her phone. And so she's texting people. And so you could get even though you can't hear the call, you could get a context of what they're talking about, because Brat is messaging. Oh my God, this, you know, she just said X, Y, and Z. Oh my God, she just said this. Oh my God, we're calling the FBI. So much to where you watch her leave her text messaging app, and she does go into her Safari. You know, we giggled about it at the time because but it showed how much you clearly believed it, because you were Googling a 24/7 FBI hotline to call. You just knew what you were hearing was concerning enough that you wanted to get this to the FBI as quick as possible.
There were.
Right, but she's looking it up on Safari while Kim is making the phone call. So yeah, like it's a screen recording of Brat's phone while she's on 3-way with Dot and Kim. But then Kim is now on the other line calling the feds, and you can't screen record or even know that that's actually happening from your own phone. So keep that part in mind too.
There was a conversation about getting offered money to grab a child. There was a payment, a platform. There were things that were now this person knows way too much about that stuff. And it was
very dark.
It got very dark. I mean, Kim and I, and even Dot, were all crying together. I mean, it was ridiculous.
See, that part right there is kind of weird to me, because you're sitting here telling me that you like have information about how Dot has like either orchestrated or been involved in the snatching of a child and even seen a payment from how you just said what you just said. But then you're wanting me to believe that she's also crying about being involved in this exact same thing. So that's why I don't really believe too much of this portion of it. And I feel like maybe it was a conversation about that Bebop and Bebe stuff that she was involved, that Dot was involved in, because it has everything to do with people thinking that this kid was being kidnapped, forced to perform in these YouTube videos with this person, and that it was a trafficking situation. Like that was that situation. Big YouTube channel, the lore behind that channel. So I don't know, because just like there's people in the Idaho case that go in and they dig for people's information and they post screenshots everywhere and they come up with their theories that usually have no receipts for anything. That is in every community whenever something gets started. So whenever, like, I knew about the whole Bebop and Bebe thing simply because it was like a trending topic way before I even knew who Dot was. Like, I knew about that situation already. So when it got brought up, I was like, okay, I know a little bit about that. So when she said, oh, it's about a kid getting taken and forced to perform and trafficking and blah, 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 I then listened to Brat's story, Brat's version of this, and I'm like, is she just making it more dramatic, exaggerating the details, twisting the details into something different because it was a conversation that was had, but it was about a different situation and it's trying to be manipulated into something else? I don't know. We don't have any proof of these conversations when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just know that, again, Brat's coming out with her interpretation of the details a month after Dot came out with hers. Having them both together to hash out the differences to get to the actual truth would be an interesting thing, but also not worth all the drama at the same time. Because the basis is this. Dot didn't witness shit. It was pushed out here by people that wanted the views because they didn't really care too much about vetting and getting to the truth. It was something trending and interesting, and that's all that mattered. It didn't matter that it was false. It didn't matter that the story kept changing. It didn't matter that the truth is never changing. The only thing that changes are lies. The truth is a constant. It's a constant. When it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, that's when I backed out of Kim. When her basic story came out, I was like, shit, bro. This makes so much sense. But then the second it started changing, and then whenever she got asked about, okay, but you said this before, what about this? And everything was like an excuse. And every time something new came out, she also had some sort of connection or something to say to that. Jump off that train real quick. Because if it was true, it wouldn't be ever evolving. Every single time there's some new information that comes out, it would remain the same. It doesn't take somebody in true crime that's a veteran of the true crime community to understand that concept. That's an everyday life skill to understand. And this is a group of people with Brat at the center as the leader. Let's be serious. She's the main friend in this little whole situation that she's got going on or had going on back then, because I honestly don't know what the hell she's doing today. I don't care. I don't care what she's doing today. All that matters to me is this situation. But there's no way that collectively they just thought that this was legit. No, they knew that it was a good story and it kept people coming. That's all that I saw. From the outside looking in, that's all that I saw.
You know, and I giggle because I was Googling like FBI answer now, FBI 24/7. Like I was like, and that's why I got Kim on the phone, because she's the only one I knew that had said that they had an FBI contact, and I wasn't about to bring this to Steve at friggin' 4:00 in the morning, you know. But
you brought it to Steve anyway and told him that you 1000% believe this girl.
I just was like, I can't do this. Like somebody else, like this is not my realm. This was about children and rugs and the crime itself, and some platform called oh my god, starts with a Q. Oh my god, they even said there was a payment on what is it? Not Quaker.
Now, see, she also just said, they just said there was a payment on this website. So again, this is like something that's being told to her with no real proof of anything. That's again why I really believe that it's just like all the lore that was dug up in the Bebop and whatever Bebe situation that's then being like twisted up over here. And I could be wrong, but the fact that they're both telling a story so similar, but the inflection is the opposite, it's interesting.
I remember you told me,
there was a platform, like there was too many freaking specifics that involved other things that scared the living hell out of me. Still do. They still do. That's why I don't really talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, I brought up Dot on my lives and things like that, but this is really nothing.
You brought up Brat in your, Dot in your lives and stuff. You went from panel to panel to panel, night to night to night to night to night, channel to channel to channel, several channels a night talking about Brat. Getting all these guys to talk to you, all these idiot dudes to get on these panels and talk to you and Riley all night long for hours and hours on end, hanging on y'all's every word. And now it's guys again pushing this shit. Notice that? It's guys, again, that are not paying attention to the truth, not going in and getting the true story, that are outside pushing this bullshit like it's truth again. So stupid.
I look, I know, yeah. There was too many.
Not just the fact that it's Brat. It's also interesting that she chose Norton as a last name, because if you've been following along with what happened in WSU, Pullman, the people at WSU that had issues with Kohberger, the main girl that started all of it, her last name is Norton, and she goes by BK Norton in the articles that talks about the situation. So there, it's not just the Brat thing; it's the initials and the name itself, which is interesting.
Thing. Oh my god, what is the platform called though?
You told me, and it's at the top of my head,
Quaker,
but I forgot.
Like Quaker, but it's not called Quaker.
It's not Quaker though. It's
Anyway, so
we'll get to it eventually.
And I was typing that to Rory and Alyssa. I'm like, somebody like this is just like this is way too far. I mean, I was bawling my eyes out. Kim said, okay, she'll contact her FBI person. So we're still on three-way. So Kim 3 ways off or whatever. I'm assuming she's on the other line calling FBI.
But has no proof she did.
Kim is leaving me here for 25 minutes with this person while Dot is I'm just.
So you're on the 3-way with Kim and Dot. This just got very, very real quickly. Yeah. And please correct me if I'm wrong with anything. Dot is now saying to be directly involved with the murders itself. So it started as I was a neighbor. I went out to smoke a cigarette in the morning of, and I saw them all outside in the backyard smoking a J. Nothing crazy. To now I was the driver of the murderers.
And they went inside. They were describing the injuries. And I mean, when I tell you that this person describes things, I mean, you guys, you know, they are very good at descriptive words and things and making things up on the spot. And now I know. But at the time, I'm like, they're describing the injuries. Why? Who
are they? Because we literally listened to Dot go on for 7.5.2 minutes just to say that they met on 4chan. She literally said that sentence 18,000 different ways, just putting the same words in different order in the sentences, and said it literally for like 3 minutes straight, the exact same thing. So is she good at putting words together, or is she just like so horrible at putting words together that it sounds like she knows what she's talking about and it's just really hard to follow? Serious question.
Where, when, why, and all the things, like they were involved in it. And I mean, and I'm sitting here thinking we're calling the FBI. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, what the fuck is happening in my life? Like, how did I get here? And that is why
Brat is not her real name. I understand that Norton is. I just said that it's an interesting coincidence, but Brat is not her real name. Y'all are like, do y'all like pay for her bathwater? Do y'all hand her toilet paper when she's done going to the bathroom? Do y'all wipe her ass for her? So many of you freaks are in here and it's wild.
Sure. Yeah. So sorry.
So Kim, no, you're fine. You're fine. So Kim at that point is like, she has an FBI contact. And so she's like, I'm going to go call them on the other line. But you never heard her allegedly calling that FBI contact.
No proof it happened.
No.
Did she ever come back on that call?
Yes, because I was freaking out and she was gone for like 25 minutes and I was like, oh my God, where are you? And so I 3-wayed her back in and she's like, they didn't answer. She says she left like a little something, I don't know, like a voice, something to call me back. I don't know. I don't know. She said that.
She said that. So again, she's saying the reason why she chose to believe Dot is this phone call right here. Because Dot agreed to get on a freaking 3-way call with her and Kim and call the FBI, a call that Brat cannot validate because she didn't make the damn call herself. And even though Dot's story has already changed progressively from I was smoking a cigarette and saw someone outside to now I helped and I was the damn getaway driver. Now, after all the bullshit, the faking of the death, and I'm in a trap house using a fake account to talk shit to you, now, this is where you believe the person. I know that I am not like the only person that can see how ridiculously stupid this is. It is a lot.
She left something for them to call her back. And that's all I knew. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I was like, Google. I don't know all the timeline of events that night. It's very blurry. All I know is that I was like, I have to get a hold of the FBI. But it basically ended up that night with
I have to get a hold of the FBI, but I'm going to get on a 3-way call and have somebody else do it. Well, I have no idea if they're actually calling the feds or not.
Me submitting. I did submit that FBI submission and then I felt better about it. And Kim had said they call her back. But I remember the next day, we kind of just like ended it. I mean, it was already like, I think 5 a.m, something like crazy like that. I don't know. It was really late and I was like falling asleep at that point. And I don't think I really slept. And then I think, was it the next 2 nights that I called the cop? I think I called the cops.
So you called the cops. What had led you to calling the cops? And that's what you were referring to when you said, you guys, if you don't believe me, you could FOIA it. I mean, I looked like shit, but if you don't believe me, you could FOIA it.
By all means, it's very embarrassing. Please, please, please don't put it on the internet. It's so embarrassing. But yes, it's there. I called the cops because the next day I caught Luna up on it. Kim and we were all talking in a group chat about it, I believe. And I just was like, holy shit, this is real. Like, this is insane. Like, after that, I believed them.
Not just that, but you're like, she's sitting here like, oh my God, it's just going off memory. You knew that you were going to do this interview. You knew that you were going to be asked questions about the timeline. So why wouldn't you, if you really cared to make sure that this was factual, why wouldn't you have it out in front of you? That's the first thing I really asked myself during this whole thing, watching it live. Like, why don't you have everything out? Why can't you look through your phone or look at your laptop? Like, why are we guessing? Why are we guessing? You should be able to look all this up.
They sat on the phone. We said we were calling the FBI. I told my submitted.
I have them. I have all of them. I think Melissa Jade's actually gone through every single one of them on a live. That 8-hour live, actually, I think, is the live where she went through all of them. I have them. I have them in my Google Drive. I've mentioned that we were probably going to go back over them again because, again, there's a lot of stuff in there that Steve Goncalves says to her that proves that he's known from the very beginning what we've already known and been saying, because there's several instances proving that he's known from the beginning. The story is not true. Dylan's lying. He literally tells Brat in these messages the grand jury did not believe Dylan's story. How are you supposed to just ignore that? How can you sit there now, Steve, and ignore that even more now that you know the truth, that she heard every damn thing and chose to do nothing? I don't comprehend that.
Shit for the FBI. I mean, for them to still be like, okay, you know, I mean, they weren't like, okay, they were like, what will they do to me? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was like, I believed I did. And then the next day, the FBI, no one got back to any of us. And so I called my own FBI office here in Raleigh. They were like, ma'am, you're going to need to talk to like Quantico. Like, you're going to need to talk to the office. She said, I need to talk to the office that's dealing with a quadruple homicide. And so then I called Quantico. I tried calling, I guess, like Seattle. I think there's one. I called every freaking FBI office and the phone just rings and rings and rings and rings. Well, no. And then I brought the cops here that night because, again, there was another crazy night and they kind of perpetuated some of that story. And I couldn't deal. I couldn't fucking deal. I was so scared. I went to let my dog outside to go potty at 4:00 in the morning. We were ending the conversation. I don't think Dot was even on the phone at this point. I think I talked to them earlier that night, but I remember talking to Alyssa and Rabbit Hole. And again, guys, these are things for another time, okay? But I was friends with Luna. I talked to Rabbit Hole occasionally. She was more friends with Luna. Kim, I only had spoken to a handful of times with Rory on lives and whatnot, Dago, whatever. Like, the only person I was really good friends with was Luna. I didn't really like know the handful of anybody. Like, I'd only talked to Kim a handful of times, but I had her number. And when at that night, I like was like, "Are you fucking awake right now? Like, I need your FBI contact. Like, get on this fucking phone right now." You know. And everyone at that point had heard about Dot and whatever. So anyway, the next night, I was letting my dog to go potty, and this is so embarrassing, but a black truck pulls up. I was on the phone with Rabbit Hole, and a black truck pulls up. It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I fucking lost my shit. I ran inside. I was shaking, screaming, and I called the cops. And Rabbit Hole actually called the cops, but she called. All my homes are in trust, so she actually called the cops, and they went.
So once again, you're not calling authorities. You're having somebody else do it for you. So there's no proof of that on your phone then. Almost everything that she says, she has a way to make it very clear that she has no proof of it.
To my parents' house at 4 o'clock in the morning that night. So I had cops that came to my house, but Rabbit Hole found me and called the cops for me, but she was trying to call them from my house. But they ended up going to my parents' house. And my parents are now involved in all this bullshit. Anyway, so they came here because of a black truck pulled up. That's how I was like so fucking scared. I mean, this person was talking about human trafficking and taking children and this rug world. And it was so much cheaper than the Idaho 4. And it just scared the fuck out of me.
Now, the story when it comes to the burning car is also apparently that it was like somebody in that world, the substance world. And remember, she also tried to say that Dot was at a trap house at some point. But apparently somebody in that drug community is the one who caught her car on fire. Because Dot says the exact same thing. But we don't have any way to verify that. We have no way to verify that. And one of the weirdest things is like, oh, she's like, Kia's investigating the fire. No, the cops investigate the fire. Kia only gives a shit if you're still making a payment to the dealer. So we don't really have any proof. As far as I know. I don't know if there's a police report or anything like that. I haven't seen it. But that burning car video could have been anybody's freaking burning car video that they used for this. I don't trust nothing. I don't know. There might be a report out there. If there is, then I'll take all that back. I haven't seen it. But it's just a simple fact. They pushed it as Bridget's in that live. And I don't really quite comprehend what was the point of putting a name behind it if you weren't 100% sure. Because they did. And here we are 2 years later.
Really does. Still does, to be honest.
My belief was that you knowingly knew
Oh God, no.
Dot, wasn't legit while feeding back that information to Steve. I don't want to hold you accountable for knowing Dot wasn't, like, if you believe.
Kim, Daniel having the record of you calling the FBI the very first time you claimed to have called the FBI, which was way before Dot came out, doesn't have anything to do with this situation that Brat's talking about now. And yes, this is Kim. This is the username that she uses. So that doesn't work. You're saying Daniel also is a liar. He can't back up anything that he normally says. He comes out here and causes chaos. He's doing it in another case now. So saying that Daniel has proof that you called the feds, that came out way before Dot. So that legitimately null.
Dot was legit. And so when you're sharing these things with me, that you could FOIA this, do it. You could go and look for it. And I did watch as you showed me.
There's a legitimate report from the police department, or is there a report that you were sent by somebody claiming to have gotten the report? Honest question. I really want to know if there's a police report that you've received yourself by doing your own FOIA, or if you were sent something, because they're super easy to fake. Yeah, that dude.
He's submitting the FBI tip, Googling FBI in the middle of the night. I do hit a little bit of a wall there because I'm like, all right, if you knew it wasn't legit, why would you have done these things? And so I was a bit surprised, because I don't think you would be submitting a tip or getting paranoid to the point where you're calling the cops because there's a suspicious car outside your house.
Illegal.
But calling because you think somebody's coming to get you, calling because you're paranoid that somebody's at your house because of the crap that you've put yourself into, doesn't necessarily mean that the crap that you put yourself into, you didn't help orchestrate yourself. Things can get out of hand and people can lose grip on what they start or what they are doing, and it spirals out of control. And that's what I honestly, in my opinion, feel like what happened here. I feel like Dot had her own agenda, and it's a personal one because her life is lonely and she's got issues, and that's very apparent. You don't have to be a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a counselor, anything but an adult human being with a normal brain to see that there's a lot of issues in that human, okay? That person that needed attention was okay coming out and exaggerating and telling stories because they're a writer and it's easy and it's like they're living in a fantasy world. And then somebody who was wanting to put their face out there, make a name for themselves, use a story that was getting a lot of information. You cannot sit here and try to play victim while then also claiming that you gave this person your TikTok to then use as a fake person to come into your live to then push your narrative because that's what you wanted to talk about. I cannot get behind you being some sort of person that shouldn't take any accountability when you then use this exact same person as a tool that you're claiming used you. You both used each other. The manipulation everywhere is legit. I remember hearing in real life time when she freaked out and called the cops because she thought somebody was at her house. I remember hearing all of this. If you got that paranoid, then you really dug yourself into a hole. But then again, she's still saying she didn't call the cops. That rabbit hole called the cops. And there's some issue with her houses. Her house that she lives in is not under her name, apparently. She says her houses are under trusts. So whenever the cops got called by Rabbit, they went to her parents' house. And so then Brat's parents got involved in this entire thing. Do you not remember like Carly Russell literally creating an entire fake kidnapping scenario and her funky ass was just sitting in a damn hotel eating Cheetos while watching her face all over the news? People do orchestrated bullshit and then it gets out of hand and they've got to try to figure out a way to save themselves and come up for air. That's why I say you have to listen to what she says and you have to listen to what Dot says. And then you have to step back and you really have to look at, okay, this is what they're telling us. But what happened in real life? What actually took place in history? What sounds like it actually has facts behind it? I feel like they had their own agendas. They came together. They used each other for their own reasons. And it got way out of hand. So many people got involved. It went multi-platform all over the place. And it was too much for them to keep up with. That's what I feel happened. That's just my opinion.
To submit false things. I mean, I even till this day look back, I'm like, till this day, I'm like, somebody needs to look into them. Like, that shit wasn't fake. I don't know. I don't know that night specifically what I'm talking about with the children and the wicker. That shit with that, I don't know. Till this day, all I know is that this person made me so paranoid and out of my mind, and they knew way too much about that shit. That's what I do know. But no, that's illegal. I got worried about that after the fact. So I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker. Like, this is all fake. Like, who fakes this shit? Seriously. And no, I'll be embarrassed all freaking day long. If I can just look, I'm coming up here. It's embarrassing. I fucked up. I didn't verify things like I should. I was brand freaking new. I should have never believed any of the word that they said. Now looking back, it's laughable, but it's not. This is like a lesson that everyone should learn because I'm sure there are other new creators like myself that just don't know. I didn't.
Again, being new to true crime does not make you new to being an adult human, does not make you new to the internet, does not make you new to trolls. You wanted to use this person for your own benefit way too quickly for you to use the I'm naive and had no clue what I was doing excuse. You can't
know all these things. I didn't know. People are like, you're a sleuth. I'm like, I never proclaimed to be a sleuth. You know what I mean? I just want to talk about the Idaho case with this.
But then you go and you film for cyber sleuths. I think you agreeing to be on a show with that word in it pretty much says that that's what you believe that you are. That's just my opinion.
And that's why with the whole Paramount thing, I was happy to go on there. I knew what they were going to use me as. And I was happy to do that because this happens. I did not know that. I did not know that people on the internet literally make up stories about being involved in crimes like this. You did. It's insanity to me, but now I guess I know.
No, one of this far from perfect, but not a freaking moron. Not an idiot, not stupid, not neglectful, not purposely misleading, but not perfect.
Screenshots that I had shown back before we had spoken, that really led me to believe that you knew. I think it was Riley who first had posted it. It's like a compilation of messages, and it's you telling Dot to come into the chat and say blank is the DoorDash driver. So from my perspective, it looked like you knowingly knew
that was completely taken out of context.
It's so taken out of context that I wanted this person to use my own account, come in under a fake name, and push my narrative. It's right there in black and white in the messages that you just put right in my face and caught me off guard with, but it was taken out of context. I can't.
Told me
Can you
that
explain it?
I can't.
Yeah, they told me that Enon Harsh was a DoorDash driver. And at this time, everybody was like, ooh, where's Dot? Dot. And everyone was like, there was a lot of people that believed every little word that Dot said. So I was like, listen, I want to talk about Enon Harsh possibly being a DoorDash driver. I kind of was like, that's not a bad freaking theory. But I didn't want them to come in and say it as Dot because everybody was like living on every word that Dot had said at that point. And I was like, just be somebody else and say it. Like, don't be Dot.
Because that's where you're saying, I'm going to use you as another source, but you can't use your voice because people will know it's Dot. It's
I'm going to use you for something else, but don't come in here as you because people already know you and what you're talking about. We have to make you a new person. Like Dot doesn't already have enough personality issues. Let's just go ahead and give him another one. Brat's full of shit, y'all. Brat's full of shit.
It's you know, like, right?
No, I think all I said was be somebody else. Don't be Dot, because everyone was hanging on their every word. I don't know. You can reread it. Everyone was hanging on their every freaking little word. And I was like, you can't say this as Dot because everyone will believe you. Right. I want to speculate on it.
So it says,
don't come in here as Dot. I just want to speculate on it. So come in here as somebody else and help me push what I want to talk about. Exactly the exact same thing that happened when Dot went into her live and started talking about one very specific thing to try to get people to talk about it. The exact same MO, the exact same operational structure.
Let me ponder something we could do. Again, no one knows your voice, and I don't want anyone to know because they'll figure you out. And with a voice changer, it's so obvious, but no worries. I have some ideas in my mind about using you as another source, possibly for things like this. So at this point,
she's reading the messages where Brat is telling Dot, I want to use you as another source. Yes, exactly. I want to use you as another source. Let's change your name and let you have access to this account so that you can come in here and be somebody else to help me with what I want to talk about. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Referring to everybody hanging on Dot's every word. So you're trying to have somebody.
Exactly. That's why some people sound familiar, because they are the same person and they are used by multiple people because they know that they're going to do it. They know that they are willing to lie to come in and tell a tale for attention. She's admitting it right here that she was going to use Dot for this for a second thing. But somehow I'm supposed to believe that she's completely innocent in the Dot situation. Humans, bro. Humans.
Come in to push Einan possibly being the DoorDash driver, but not as Dot's account. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and read my messages.
See, I don't know what I said. I'm going to have to go back and read what I said. No, she didn't think Melissa was going to call her out on this. So she's stuck and doesn't know how to fake her answer. Ugh.
Just because I don't know if that's all what I said. I remember being like, come in as not as Dot.
Yeah, and then I see Dot because it's like 3 screenshots like compiled into one. And then I see like Dot, if you want to come in the comments and say blank is DoorDash driver, laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
Telling Dot, come into the chat and say this specifically. But she's so innocent when it comes to Dot's actual situation. The people that are in here defending this is... How can you hear it out of her own face and be mad that we're trying to make sure that people understand how factually not correct this bullshit is? Y'all's real lives are gonna be so effed up.
You know, oh my God, are we doing this? Please.
Yes.
And so even if, you know, like you believe Dot, do you think it was right to have somebody come in and say something as a source that you
no? Oh my God, no. I
think that was wrong.
No, absolutely not. I take back everything that whole month. I mean, I was just not thinking clearly, and I after calling the FBI, I really did believe that they had this information
directly.
You'll have to check the date on. I don't know when the date on that was.
I don't know. It might have the date on it.
Is the date on it
July 24th?
Yeah. That was after calling the FBI.
Thank you, far away.
And that's you know, at that
was after calling the FBI. That was after the story evolved. That was after I thought somebody was at my house trying to get me and I had to call the cops because I was freaking out. I then used this exact same person that put me in that situation that I feel like was sent to me as a target to then target my audience. I then used them to my benefit. That's what she's saying. That's what she is saying. That's what she is saying. The crap that people will do and then have like no conscience about it, sleep well at night, and then come out and play the victim. It's astonishing to me still to this day. And I grew up in a religious cult and people still surprise me. That says a lot.
Point, I really did believe Dot. And yeah, no, but no, that's not cool. No.
So
No.
when did the interaction happen with Steve where you started to, hey, I'm talking to somebody,
Right.
I don't remember your exact words, but you introduced Dot's story to Steve?
Right after the fact that I couldn't get a hold of the FBI, and you'll have to look, MJ,
What? I don't know if this is true. I'm just reading this out loud and it wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure it's still online somewhere. Just today, Brat was on live saying she's going to use a man for a date to pay for a hotel to cover something she wanted to do. Laughed at this loser who would pay. You know, it honestly wouldn't surprise me. It really freaking wouldn't. Yeah, the weird breathing y'all are hearing is actually Brat's dog. He's like this little dog that hangs out on her next to her side. I don't know if I keep the part in here where she like shows him, but that's what you guys are hearing. It's just her puppy.
I'm sorry, and I'm not looking at the receipts, but
You're fine.
I had asked him casually. I said, there's this person, they claimed out some information, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like, hey, listen. And they're like, hey, and Steve was like, hey, can they get a picture of the apartment recently? Can they, whatever? I mean, he was pretty good at it. And I was like, no, and this and that, whatever. And they're giving me excuses, whatnot. I had mentioned it to him, but I hadn't really, when you see like the crazedness, that was after we called the FBI. So I think I had mentioned it to him, but it was like nothing crazy. But it was after that, I was like, I need your FBI's number right now. Like, this shit is serious, and I need to talk to somebody. Someone needs to take this from me.
We saw you asking Steve desperately for his FBI contact because at that point you're saying,
this little orange cat's going to give herself a concussion. Did you hear that plop? God dang.
the information Dot was putting forward, it desperately needed attention. And at that point, you only had Kim get off the three-way call, say she called her contact. You submitted an FBI tip line, but you were desperately trying to get it to the authorities.
Yeah. Yes, because what I heard on the phone still should be looked at by the authorities. I've heard things since that needs to be looked at by the authorities. Okay. I'm just saying. And again, if they're lying, someone needs to tell them that's not, that I don't know. Someone that, I don't know. I think what a lot of people don't know is that after all of this is said and done, not to like fast forward a lot, but after all this, it was said and done, Dot was outed. Kim will.
Okay, sorry, I just needed to share.
I was like, hey, what is happening?
Sorry,
no, you're good.
Okay, so here we see like Dot called Cindy. You're like, Dot called say C, my girl, 100% Dylan involved. We need to find proof. So what was Dot saying about Dylan?
Oh boy.
Now remember, this is still at a time to where she wasn't really 100% sure. She's going to say, yeah, I still wasn't 100%, but she's going to literally tell Steve, not 100, but 1,000%. I believe her 1,000%. So when you're telling that to the victim's family, it's not like, it shouldn't surprise you that years later, there's still people thinking that this is legitimate when you felt the need to throw this onto Steve Goncalves. You had questions. You weren't 1,000% sure, yet you still used it to your advantage and let it basically psych yourself out to where now you're fearful, you're freaking out, apparently trying to get all these people to help you contact the FBI. It definitely escalated into more than they could handle. And people still think it's true. I just don't understand.
I'll let you hear. I told you I'd send you the recordings. The Dot was involved in the whole drug aspect of all of this and knew everything that was going on. And you had seen what he had told me about Dylan prior, about Dylan hearing everything, right? Okay, Dylan texting. And
The text message that we've talked about, how it says something around, sounds like they're killing them. That's been going around for a long time, which again is just more proof that Steve has known from the beginning that there was more to the story, and he has failed to admit that. And instead of being like, I've known that Dylan heard, I know that Dylan isn't being honest, we know that the grand jury had issues with Dylan's testimony. Instead of coming out and just being honest with that, he sits here and saves face and protects the victims. And I don't really quite, I mean, the Dylan and Bethany, I don't really quite understand why, because being that they are the actual victims' families, if they were to come out and start questioning the roommates, then maybe more people would start paying attention to what's really happening here. But because the most vocal family is coming out and being like, yeah, you know, it's been 3 years, and even though they left us on red, they don't owe us anything. They owe you everything. They owe you all the answers. All of the answers. To sit there and think they don't is literally something that you're saying because you want people to think that you're this great, empathetic, just superhuman who just has like, again, just like the most sympathy and empathy, and you're not going to have any sort of like cross feelings for anyone. No, when it comes to Dylan and Bethany, they owe all the answers to these families, all the families. So that's why, regardless, it doesn't take any heat off of Steve. It really doesn't, because he's known all these things, that and the 17-minute phone call between Jack and Kaylee. That family's known about that for years and has done interviews about that exact same time frame of missed calls and text messages and what could this have been numerous times. And they have failed to be honest about it every single time. The characters in this entire circus definitely feed off each other.
Just played into all of that Dylan knew and was a part of the drug world, and that Dot had. They were a neighbor, and I really thought that they were Bridget Burhan. I'm not gonna lie, if anyone knows who that is, and I don't want to put their name out there, I really thought, because there is a legitimate neighbor who hangs around Dylan, who whatever. And
that's what I said. That's where I was with it for the majority of the time. She is out here saying that she's Bridget. She is out here saying that this story is coming from somebody who is an actual factual person that really does know Dylan Mortensen, just to then find out later they literally had no proof of that. That's just who they thought it was based off of things that were said, or at least that's the story. That's the story.
I almost thought that they knew about this girl and were kind of feeding me information based off this girl, this real girl who really does live next door. And
this story of Brat.
Yeah. It's the same thing as Dot yesterday, not wanting to answer any questions about the Bebop and Bebe thing, and then getting asked another question, and then instantly answering the Bebop and Bebe thing for like 30 minutes straight after not wanting to talk about it.
I'm sorry, Brat. The story of Dot, she was really taking, and this is what the issue also that I had was, actually took, and thank you, Michelle, with 1L. I'm not sure, I don't know if I'm not reading your thing right, but I'm not really sure what that means. But the persona, because I argued with Dot about this on my panel, but the persona that she took on was someone who is a legit person who lives there, right?
Tell them the time you
parents to be an FBI agent and prank called someone on your live. I'm not sure.
When we prank called Rabbit Hole. Yes, we prank called Rabbit Hole. We prank call sometimes on it has nothing to do with this.
Then I don't want to talk about it, guys. I'm trying to keep it. This is already so much information as it is. I just want.
So now she's also admitting that she's a grown-ass woman who makes prank calls on her TikTok. And that's cool. Do whatever the frick you want to do. But whenever you can get on a live and you can prank call somebody and fake a situation and fake a conversation for content, for views, while also admitting that you gave somebody who you're saying is targeting you your own account so they can get on there and you can use them as a tool, again, how am I supposed to believe you? Like, you're showing me that everything is just a stage to you and you literally live that way. That's how it seems.
I'm gonna keep it.
You're good. That's a completely we prank calls on our friends and joke, and
And no, before anybody asks, oh my God, you ever prank call one of your friends? No, because I'm not an immature person. I've never prank called anybody, not even as a child. Not as a teenager. No. I don't do that. No.
What was I saying? I got distracted.
We were talking about, so what you're relaying back to Steve here is things that Dot specifically stated to you.
Yeah.
You fully believe them.
Not until after the FBI. No.
So then why
I think
do you
I was
think you
probably
were feeding it to Steve if you didn't fully believe it?
Well, I was
Just
probably
honestly.
I was probably trying to be like, hey, listen, there's this person who's claiming they have this information, yada, yada, yada.
Do you feel like Steve was just open to hearing anything, and so like there was nothing really holding you back as far as shooting it over? Were you not really looking at it from the perspective of like...
I wasn't even really thinking about it, to be honest with you. But no, this was right after. How does it say July 10th? That didn't even come to me until July 11th.
Oh, well, you say here, Dot called C,
right.
That's
that night. That's the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know why I would have told him about that. I don't know why. I really don't.
She doesn't even know her own timeline.
I don't know.
So right here.
I don't have the answer.
The neighbor was there that morning smoking. So this was Dot's original narrative. Like, like we were saying, it did not snowball down into something bigger. And it was the neighbor was there that morning smoking with them out back. That's why he's so scared. He legit got up, saw them smoking, walked over there to just hang, thinking they were hanging. And he's so freaked out because then they found out when the cops came, and he's like in shock as to why they were all hanging out that morning.
And remember, they really did think at first this was a dude, and it's not.
And I thought it was a he because he was using a voice changer with Cindy the first time they talked to him. Sorry, that's why I was saying he. She thought, I remember, sorry, it's triggering it. She thought it was a boy. By the way, not that it matters. Yeah, I mean, I think I told him because I didn't know. I mean, who else do I tell? Look, I'm not in the world where people make things up on the internet. I'm not in that realm. You have to understand. I'm not in this like, oh my God, people come and give information and are making it completely up. I did not understand that this world is like that. I think I was just trying to tell him to give him the information that someone told me. That is all. I meant no harm.
But you do openly say that you did not believe Dot really full on until after the FBI, and then I'm just pointing out, I'm not trying to rake you over.
Yeah, no,
I'm just pointing out what my issues were. Yeah. And, in here, like you wrote, oh, I'm disgusted. I believe this person 1,000%, Steve. I'm so sorry. Like, but you're saying that you had red flags that you didn't believe are at that. So, like, that's the issue that I'm taking from it. Like you guys are going back and forth. He's referring to the grand jury members. You said, did you listen to my audio? The neighbor was over there smoking with them that morning. Dylan, Demetrius and Emma.
I do want to say this too. This is totally like a side thing, but after they were outed and whatnot, they called Cindy and they asked about my child and where he goes to school and personal information about my child and where and locations and specifics. And so I want to put the PSA out there that you need to be very fucking careful. Like,
and that happens. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that kind of stuff didn't happen, because it probably did, because people are sick in the head, especially if the claim is coming from somebody else that was called and was asked these questions. People are stupid. People are disgusting. So it really wouldn't surprise me. So I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, you weren't threatened. That's full of shit." Because I'm not going to go that far with it. Because like I said, I feel like these are two people that had their own agendas that came together and everything spiraled out of control, and then it ended up just blowing the frick up in both of their faces. That's how I feel about it. But it's whatever. This is where I just don't. Like I said, I'm not going to say the threats didn't happen, but then whenever you see who the threats are coming from, you really, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say to not take things seriously, because obviously this person is off their freaking rocker. But if the majority of their day, they're doing nothing but sitting on a freaking phone and on the internet 24 freaking hours a day. It's not like they can even afford to get to you. Let's just be so serious. So while I still understand this point, this is where you still weren't completely backing away from this just yet. You were still in the realms of these people. You were still trying to stay on the subject of what was going on. And it took a lot of people really questioning things and starting to blame you for a lot of this, if not all of it, that you finally like manned up and came out and dropped a bunch of receipts, but still not a bunch of receipts. Like, I know some people have seen some things, but there's a lot of stuff that this person says that she doesn't have any proof for, that she just repeats constantly on her TikToks, and people just believe it. And she even says this. If you go back to the beginning of this, she's going to say, yeah, I just told everybody that I was talking to Steve Goncalves and they just believed me. I didn't have to prove anything or show receipts or anything. They just believed me. She's used to being just believed. And she's okay with manipulation, lying, staging scenarios, setting up scenes, setting up people coming in and doing things to set up her agenda. You have to take everything on both sides with such a big grain of salt. But in the end, that's pretty much my opinion. They used each other, and it got stupid. And now here we are again 2 years later.
It happens. You know, it's scary. The internet's a very scary place. When did it go wrong with Dot? When did you know something's wrong here?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, again, I believe them after the FBI call because I'm like, who sits on the phone with the FBI? But before that, there were red flags. They sent me a blurred out thing with Ann Taylor on it, and I was like, no.
That's not the only red flag. That's like minimal.
They pretended to be somebody else in their TikTok.
You wanted them to get on your TikTok to pretend to be somebody else. They might have had their own red flag at the time, but if you weren't tossing them for them to catch, holy shit.
In their TikTok message one time, there were like a handful of red flags.
Then it got exposed because we were all here when that happened. Dot got exposed.
You mean like at the very end?
Yeah.
Oh God. So the FBI thing happened. I called my cops. I was freaking out. And I was kind of like done with it all. And then they were mad at me because I wouldn't answer the phone. And so they went on to, I think, Rory's live first. They went on to Rory's live. And then I wasn't talking to them then. I was done. I was done. So I was like, I'm done with this after the whole, and my parents got involved. Like my parents literally came over and was like, I don't know what's going on, but this has got to fucking end. And I was like, just a mess. And I had to recuperate. And so, mentally. And so I wasn't talking to them. And the next thing you know, I hear that they're live with Rory and they were telling their little story and they were just tearing them to shreds. And then I think they were on live with CJ the next night. And that's when I felt really bad for them. This is when I actually did believe, I just felt really, this is what I believed them. After calling the FBI, if you're going to sit on the phone with three-way at the FBI, I don't think you're fucking lying to me because who does that?
But that's also cap because Dot literally said, she answered this to Melissa and what we went over yesterday. She asked her, so what if they would have answered the phone and they would have taken your statement? Or what if you would have done it? The cops came knocking on your door. I would have told them then that whatever I was going to tell them. So Dot sitting on the damn phone while somebody else calls the damn feds that you have no proof of. It's not something that you should take into consideration for anything. Because this person, for one, if the FBI were to actually have like gotten on the phone with y'all, they wouldn't have sat there on a damn three-way call with a bunch of people, freaking hysterical in the middle of the night. They'd have told y'all asses, whoever has the story can stay on the phone. Everybody else needs to hang the hell up. They wouldn't have played with y'all. Come on now. That's number one. But for her to then sit here and be like, I would have then told them. Yeah, sit on the phone to just then confess to it at the end of the day. That could have been exactly what Dot would have done that night. They would have finally gotten on the phone and then she would have been like, yeah, actually, this isn't my story. Somebody else said all this to me, blah, 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 blah. And then what? And then what? The phone call never happened. The FBI never got on the phone. So unless you actually heard Dot get on the freaking phone with the cops, with the feds, and admit this, why would this be the situation where you finally are like, okay, well, there was a trap house and a faked death and all these different versions of this story, but this is where I'm going to finally be like, oh yeah, they've got to be telling the truth. I guess I just couldn't imagine being this way. I just couldn't.
Irony of calling the FBI and them like not answering. I mean, what if they had answered? What if somebody did reach out to them? I don't know. I mean, I left multiple.
Dot said she would have admitted it, but who knows the actual truth. How the cops didn't actually go knocking on Dot's door, Braden's door, wherever they live after all this chaos, I still question, because if y'all were really calling the cops and the FBI and all these reports are all over the place with this person's information, I don't see how they hadn't been actually contacted in real life. That's why I question how much of this stuff was actually reported.
Freaking reports online. I called my own cops who came here and sat here and called. I would not let the guy leave until I called the FBI.
And why is she always not the person to call the feds? She's got Kim three-way calling. She's got Rabbit Hole calling the cops. Now she's got her own local police coming into her house, and she's not letting them leave until they call the FBI. Is she like afraid to call the FBI from her own phone? This is like the third instance where she's mentioned authorities being called by everybody else but her, while saying that she was desperate to get a hold of the feds. She still has somebody else making the call. It's just weird.
I mean, again, the irony of it all. But I just felt really bad for him. So I had him on my panel. I let him use my backup account on TikTok. And Riley kept calling him Munch, and I was like, who the fuck is Munch? And I'm like, who is Munch? And I didn't know who fucking Munch was. I don't think that was the correct person, though, to be honest with you. And then they had my backup account. So then I had gotten off live. I was actually talking to Jenna for the first time I'd ever spoken to her. I was talking to Jenna, and then I heard, oh my God, they showed their face on live, and I got a screenshot of their face. On my live, not my live, but they had gone on their own live on my backup page, and I was like, I just was in shock. I was like, this is not a teenage girl. I know, stupid it sounds.
And the fact that you're like in shock that it's not a teenage girl, she sounds like a 50-year-old smoker. Dot, like a husky 18-wheeler driving, 2.5 pack a day smoking big girl. Is what she sounds like. So how are you going to sit here and pretend that face? Oh my God, you're not 19? Come on, bro.
I know, but I pictured Bridget Burhan. I didn't see Bridget Burhan.
See, you pictured that because you took things that you thought you knew that you never vetted and came up with a theory off of things that you just thought. That you never vetted, never verified. Your cronies were in my chat last night claiming the exact same thing. They thought it was Bridget because of things they heard. They never verified anything, and they went with that narrative for what? What? Thinking it's one thing, but to come out and put it into the ether, and not just now while she's like, oh, well, I don't want to say her name, but here's her name anyway. That was what was being told about the burning car on Rory's live. A lot of non-accountability and a lot of dumb shit. Seriously.
And I was like, oh my God. And I just was like, fuck. And that then at that point, one of my good friends had reached out to the person commenting in that live, who was like, Braden, what are you doing here? Because all these
the
people,
name Braden kept popping up.
Yeah,
right?
all these people were saying Braden, and I'm like, who the fuck is Braden? So I had talked to a creator who was in that live the next day. She was giving me the lowdown. Braden is creator that's done that to Bebop, and the Bebop and Bonnie case kept getting brought up, and I'm like, okay, but I don't know who is Braden then. And at that point, I think Riley had put out the video of who exactly Braden was. Again, no one came to me and told me. I found out via video on TikTok who Braden was, and then that's when I started texting Riley, and I was, okay, what's going on, blah blah blah. And then she kind of gave me a little bit of the lowdown, and she wanted more information. I was sending her stuff, and that's that.
You actually found out Dot wasn't Dot about 1 to 2 days before Paramount. Correct me. It was.
I want to say it was on the 2nd. It was the night. I mean, well, it was the night. Well, no, I mean, it was the night that they showed their face. What was that? The 1st or the 2nd of August? Their face. I mean, that's when I knew. I didn't know who Braden was, but I knew right then there. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this person lied. It's not a teenager. All I saw was their face. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And that was the 1st or 2nd of August. Riley, I think, put out a video one of those days.
Yeah.
And then I flew off and filmed on the 5th.
Did Dot try to influence you to reach out to Steve, or did they know you were talking to Steve, or how did that go about?
They wanted to talk to Steve. And I would
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because Dot on my panel said that they had no idea you were even speaking to Steve. And when I pulled up messages that showed you were literally saying, I'm relaying this back to Steve, they were asking you?
I'll find the receipts. There was one night in particular, they were like, give me Steve's number right now, or blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like,
and see, I believe that too. Just like I said yesterday, the way that Dot says certain things that Brat says to her, the way that she inflects certain things, says the certain keywords that Brat says about, oh, if you just do this thing, then we can get this book deal going. Girl, you could be making so much money, all this other thing. Yeah, it's definitely the way that Brat talks. But that's also very much the way that Dot sounds. Very aggressive, very demanding, very entitled. Like I said, they used each other and it blew up. And now they're each other's worst enemies.
No. Yes, I have receipts. I will find them.
Did you actually hear any of these other people speak to the FBI besides yourself?
No. No, and I never got to speak with them. I called and called and called, and I think I sent you a couple of my. I mean, I pulled up.
I have her phone records, and you called Ann Taylor. Also, you sent it over to the defense, and I did see she submitted an FBI tip. I saw that receipt.
Well, and if I didn't send you the call logs for the FBI the next day, I mean, because I went back to go find him, and now they're too far out, right? But like, oh my gosh, I called the FBI days and days after the first time we called the FBI.
So Melissa's only seen the stuff that was sent to Ann Taylor and then a submission to the FBI. She hasn't seen the phone records to prove that Brat actually called the feds herself. I'll have to email her.
Yeah, I was like nonstop, just calling the FBI, calling. There's no like voicemail. There's no like press one for this. The FBI doesn't work that way, by the way, for all of you guys. I mean, that's half the reason when the cops were here, I wouldn't.
And see, that's a really good question. I don't know. Because she's basically acting like the camera slip is when she finally realized that she's been being lied to, while also this entire interview giving multiple instances of story changes and, oh, this is when I knew, and oh, this is when I knew. It went again, the faking of the death. Oh, that's whenever I was done. No, you weren't. They then went to some trap house and was messaging you from a fake account, and all of a sudden that's whenever you're done. But then y'all still give her money to get home with an Uber or some shit like that. And then you still have these late night conversations to where you're hearing her doing something sexual on the phone and recording at the same time. Like, we're not going to forget all the things that you apparently just like glanced right over in the name of some TikTok ad rev. Let's be serious. She's even going to say herself that the majority of everything that she shared on TikTok when it came to Steve Goncalves was behind a sub-only paywall. Who does that sound like? I can't feel too much sympathy for this person with all these other things. I just can't.
Let them leave until they call the FBI. I'm like, you call the FBI, then don't you have like a direct line or something? Like, how does this work? I mean, I didn't know.
And so chat also has some questions about Howard Blum. And I know that you went over that
Watch her faces
earlier, how you noticed that possibly other creators were talking to him as well. Is that correct?
I know his other sources. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you have not been fired from Howard Blum.
No.
See her face? She's taking pride in the fact that she's still in a working relationship with Howie Blum, whatever, the fiction writer who comes out here and pushes false narratives and basically some sort of sexual fetish writing. Because if you look at the way that he changes his face and discusses this case, especially when it comes to Maddie and Kaylee, it's a bit disturbing to watch. Lots of us have discussed this. But look at the pride on her face when she's like, no. Girl, being associated with so much sleaze is not something to be smiling that big for.
Earlier, how you noticed that possibly other creators were talking to him as well. Is that correct?
I know his other sources. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you have not been fired from Howard Blum.
No.
And
Her face, bro.
I can, affirm also that, there's still communication there. You had screen record these.
See, she's just got this smug. It's the same smug as Molly Dam DoorDash driver when she's looking over to Brett Payne and says right in the body cam, I'm friends with Bill Thompson. It's that kind of smug.
Message, and you're saying you shared them with a very select group of people and you had them sign NDAs?
Yes, I have all the NDAs. Mm-hmm.
And before I ever started speaking to you, when I went over these messages, there were very controversial in the chat. When we say sub lives, as far as TikTok guys, that's kind of like a YouTube's member live. So that's a small group of paying people, right? And so did you ever share these messages in the sub lives?
I went over. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not like your member. Well, I don't.
Okay, then please correct me.
Yeah. Well, it's like you are paying and you can't watch it unless you're literally like a subscription member,
which is a paid thing. It's a paywall. So she's not willing to come out and speak factually about the information that she has unless you pay her to do so, unless you are a paying person. That is so ick.
Yes.
So like you can't even see it.
Right. Well, we
Not
have the choice if we want it.
Okay.
Or not. Yeah.
But clear. It's not like public in any freaking way. And yes, I did. That's the whole reason I created this sublive. I wanted to go over things that he had said. And I would read off a couple of the things that Steve had said. I didn't get into all this ridiculous, embarrassing shit with myself. I got into some of the things because I think that people should. I don't know. I think that there are a couple of things in there that he has said that are quite frankly very interesting. So I would read over those.
So earlier you said Steve got a call at around 10:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Again.
The day of the murders, though?
That's what he said.
And who did he get a call from? Do you know?
He didn't know. They didn't know. They said there's someone screaming their head off talking about somebody in the woods.
So it was from like a number they didn't know, or
I have no idea. I didn't ask.
But you're here contributing to my ad rev tonight. Thank you so much, babe. Thank you.
More questions.
So
about
somebody
it.
was in the woods screaming their head off, and
That's
that's
a
before
wild
he would have
story.
known what happened.
In the no, because it was earlier that morning. In the messages, when he said, and then we talked to the neighbor with the crazy story, I believe that's what he's referring to. When he said that, and then Dot saying there's people in the backyard, I was like, oh, okay. Well, it was to me too, but that also when then I was thinking that when I was telling him about Dot and what they were saying, and then he was like, well, yeah, this person called us at 10:30 in the morning, screaming their head off about someone in the backyard, but they didn't think anything. They didn't know anything at that point.
It doesn't matter if they know anything or not. If some random ass person suddenly has my phone number, and you're calling me from where my child lives, and you're screaming on the phone about how there's a person freaking you the hell out because obviously you're freaked out because you're screaming in the woods behind my child's house, I wouldn't need to know anything other than I'm going to try to get a hold of my kid. If not, then I'm going to call the cops and have a cop go check the area. And if I can't get that done, I'm going to get in my damn car. So I already have issues with the whole, they were getting information from people directly in the area. Christy's niece, specifically, Sabrina, calling her, telling her the situation. So this part right here, naturally, I want to be like, pissed, but I can't believe that it's actually true because she's again saying, I don't have proof of this. It was said to me over the phone. it tracks to me for how they just sit on their asses about stuff. But there's no way that 10:30 in the morning you get a phone call like that and you just do nothing. But then somehow still think it's related to then say it to somebody who's helping you investigate the case. That's like the one main thing that she said in all the interview that I actually gave a shit about, because that would be something he could prove. He could show a phone log. He can be like, yeah, it was not my phone. It was Christy's phone. Like, they're not saying phone number, whose phone, if it was social media. We know that a lot of Kaylee's sisters were getting social media phone calls from people, like FaceTime calls from like Snap and like different places. But she's claiming that this is apparently a phone call. I wish the Goncalveses would come out and just do like one giant Q&A session, clearing up all of the misconceptions that have come from their chaos. Because him being in all of these TikTokers and YouTubers platform inboxes and sharing all this stuff everywhere and it going all over the place when it's not factual, it's not vetted, it's all been, not all, but most of it's been disproven. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. That's why I said every character in this has their own responsibility in this chaos. But I would really like to know, did you really say this to Brat Norton, or is she lying? Because we know that they actually spoke. We know that this is 1,000,000% legitimate. But this is not something that we can read in a text message, which really sucks.
That's what he told me.
Like, that's bizarre. That's like, well, was it a known number? Was it a blocked number? Like, when you answered, was there any context? Was somebody screaming in the background? Was somebody just screaming? What were these? I have so many questions.
I do too. But if you notice, I know it looks like I talked to him and whatever. But to be honest with you, there was a lot of information he gave me right in, like, pry. Like, I don't know. It was uncomfortable all around.
And that's it. That is their confessions. That is their confessions to it being fake, it going all over the place, everybody that was involved. And again, this is not something I wanted to go back over. I knew these pathetic ass trolls were going to end up coming in here. I already knew what was going to happen. I don't talk to people because I don't like dealing with this kind of drama. But the basis of this is the fact that there are channels right now this week coming out and trying to make Dot some sort of martyr. And oh my God, she was ignored and nobody listened to her. And oh my God, this is the key. No, she's a fake. She's a fake. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand people that want to push the false stuff. Like, you should be angry at people that want to come out here and give a bunch of false information. Like, why would you want to do that? Look who just jumped up to say hi. Oh, meow. Meow. You can't be jumping up here. You're going to hurt your baby self. I mean, look, Dylan lied and she got over $100,000. It sucks to have morals because you stay a broke bitch. Want to see the other one too? They're both on the bed. Okay, hold on. Here's the little babies again. I think we're going to go with Ember. I think we're going to go ahead and mix and match it because it was originally like Ash and then Ember and then Calypso and Peaches. But Ember works with her because she's a Spitfire. She's funny. She's hyper. Ember works for her. Little orange baby. All right, let me go get the other one. And now this is the other one. She's real chill. Look, she's... you can tell she's already comfortable. Look at this. Stomach up, wide open. No cares. No cares anymore. Look, she's just chilling. I think Calypso works for her. She looks like an emoji. I tried to find the emoji that she looks like earlier and I couldn't find it. But her brows. To do this. She looks mad, but she's purring. She's so soft. She's so soft. I can't bring Zelda in here yet because they're still not used to each other. I had Zelda in here with me last night. So y'all can see her the next time. But she's in there with the boys right now, playing with the dogs. It's a process. Zelda's not liking not being the only cat, but it's a process. It's fine. Oh yeah, she's completely comfortable. It's really wild to me that she's just like okay. And that's like a sign that they're super comfortable, is that they're like their belly is exposed. That's what I said whenever I really realized that Zelda knew that she wasn't like under any harm when it came to Boomer and Lily, because when Lily plays with her, like whenever they play, Zelda's like on her back, arms open, belly out, and letting Lily like groom her and lick on her and clean her and stuff. And I'm like, you know that you're not gonna ever even be barked at. They're definitely safe and comfortable and fat. Holy crap. I'm really glad I had still some of the infant milk left from whenever we had Zelda last year, because the baby really needed that. She's so freaking young. Like, I honestly don't know how she survived. I guess they just like learn how to eat harder stuff when they have to. But her little teeth are so little. Yeah, I can't remember. Like, it's a certain, like, I want to say like the emoji's face is like blue, and it has like almost like a like thick like unibrow type thing, but it's just like flat. And it has a face. Oh, I'll find it eventually. But that's what she looks like to me. That's what she looks like to me. Oh, I'm kind to people that aren't liars. I'm kind to people that aren't narcissistic, manipulating gaslighters, you know? Because there's a difference. Okay, guys. I appreciate you guys being in here. This was definitely a left from the things that we've been actually paying attention to lately. We don't usually do all of this stupidity. But it was a good little distraction, I guess. You guys have a great night. Let me go ahead and play this out real quick. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.